Steven and Larry, and we're talking Swish.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Talking Swish. Larry here alongside with my co-partners Dewey and Steven. Guys, how we doing?
Good, man. It was a good, fun, magic-filled weekend this weekend. Dewey was trying to qualify for the SCG Invitational, and I played the Arena Open, so we were jamming a lot of Historic. So that was pretty fun. And Dewey can kind of talk more about that, I guess.
I wasn't with you guys this weekend. I hear Steven says that you were trying to qualify, Dewey. Did you succeed?
I did. We played a lot of Magic. I don't think I played this much Magic in quite some time. I'm talking ran two of the satellites on Friday. Didn't do as well as I wanted in those. So then turned around Saturday morning, woke up at 4:30 in the morning, got my coffee, jammed the 5, the 10, and the 4, and then we managed to get there. Got there actually in the second one. We went so we went 2-3, then 2-3. So that was day one, so that kind of sucked. Day two, we went 4-2, then 6-0, then 4-2. So that was pretty sweet. So we queued off of the 6-0, but then we figured we might as well play one more because then we would get 3 buys going into Sunday.
And how did the main event go?
Ooh, trash.
Trash.
So we were running so hot on Saturday. Draws were good, quality stuff, had a lot of choices. We were able to outplay a lot of opponents. Just everything you want out of Magic, right? Oh, and we also played the Open. So played the Arena Open day one as well. Fired off a bunch of bullets there. So I played an insane amount of games. Day two, we're talking kept in reasonable hands, drew 5 lands in a row. Kept reasonable hands again, drew 4 lands out of 5, and then. I mean, if you're keeping these hands and you're going back and forth and you just draw nothing for 5 turns while your opponent's establishing a board, you're just going to lose.
Yeah,
I'll agree.
And then the other part that was annoying was against some aggressive opponents, they just had the 1, 2, 3, 4 kill you, and I was like,
yep. That
was
kind of how the Arena Open went for me. It was I went 3-1 with auras in one of them. But the other ones were all 1-1. Now, I did make some mistakes in a few of them because I woke up at around 8 and went to sleep at like 3. So playing on 5 hours of sleep was not exactly ideal. But the one where I went 3-1 went mostly good. I lost a close game 3 to Jeskai, if I remember right. It might have been a game 2, but it was definitely to Jeskai because in that round of 4, I played Jeskai every single round. Which was a little annoying because Auras is pretty good against Jund Food, which was picking up in popularity that morning already. So I thought Auras would be a good call, and Auras ended up getting 3rd in the SCG the next day. So definitely wasn't a bad deck, just didn't draw well with it, and sometimes that's the nature of playing Auras. So can't be too upset about it, but yeah. So that was our weekend. A lot of magic.
It sounds like y'all were in for a long weekend. But Dewey, congratulations on getting qualified for the Invitational.
yeah.
While we're on the topic about the Invitational, they just did announce over the weekend the formats and everything for that event coming up. If y'all didn't see it, I'm sure you did because I shared it, and I think a couple other people shared it as well. It is going to be Modern and Standard.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident on my choices for Modern because I have access to all of them. But Standard's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Standard's going to be an interesting format. It's going to be new. It's going to be probably like a little over a month in at that point because the Standard actually drops this week. We're going to have rotation. Bye-bye, Innkeeper. And welcome some of these new cards. Maybe there's some hidden gems in Strixhaven and Kaldheim that we're going to be able to touch on.
There are.
And what's also super cool, Dewey, we were actually recording a video earlier on Historic. And I was talking to Steven and I was like, we're going to actually do some videos where we're not going to look at a deck list online, but we're just going to sit there and we're going to brew up some decks and just run them. We're just
I
going
like
to
it.
write it live on, we're going to hit the record and we're going to do some brewing.
Hmm.
Instead of like a deck tech, we're going to do a deck build. We're just going
Yeah,
to,
no,
yeah, go ahead.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I mean, we play so much of these decks that are already established, so we don't really get a good feel for it. Now that kind of thing I'm in for.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be super fun. I'm very interested in it. Maybe this is gonna be a sweet standard format. That's to be determined because we obviously can't determine it yet.
Hmm.
Right.
I'm hopeful it is,
Oh
very
yeah,
hopeful,
for
especially
sure.
with the Invitational being an event that's going to be based around standard. I don't know if they said which one's the top eight though. I'm assuming it's gonna be modern, and I think that's mainly because I think it's like business wise, it's the best call. But I don't know if that's for fact by any means.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember
Uh,
reading which one was going to be.
Standard, it looks like. Wait, yeah, yep, standard. I'm on the
Really?
website right now.
Okay, okay.
So it's
Maybe
gonna
that's because
be.
last time it was Pioneer, which is neither of these two formats.
That's
So
true, because I guess that makes sense. And I know what's also super cool is if you look at the actual SCG Con thing, for the first time that they're doing non-magic events there, it looks like.
huh.
It looks like they're going to be
It's
introducing some flesh and blood in the life. So that's.
I'm not surprised. They're turning this into more and more of an actual convention. So
Mm-hmm.
I could see them going the way of adding more games at this point. They've got the Magic scene quite fine-tuned compared to other events.
Yep.
So adding on Flesh and Blood, that'll be a good avenue for them, especially with how much Channel Fireball's been pushing it too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you got Channel Fireballs pushing it, and what's just super cool, excuse me, what's super cool, if you don't know how to play Flesh and Blood, you can do one of these welcome event things they're doing at
mhm,
SCG Con. They give you the starter deck. It's a
mhm.
precursor deck. It's free to enter. And is
Oh
there
wow.
prizes? Yeah. Jesus. It's a single elimination tournament, and you get the. They got a cold foil young hero for first place. Those things are actually worth money.
Nice man.
The
Very
hell?
cool.
I might do one of those.
Oh, side note on this stuff, I'm a big fan of this playmat and a big fan of the hoodie.
Oh, I need to go see what you're looking at, my friend. Where's
Yeah,
it?
I haven't
Where's?
seen either of those myself either.
What? No, that's great. Yeah, take a look.
Are you sharing the screen or something?
Oh, do you want me to? One second.
Oh, I didn't know what. I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking. I'm over here. I ain't gonna lie. I'm looking at the Flesh and Blood events.
If you look
Nice,
at the
nice, nice.
Infinite Challenge, you'll see the playmat. It looks like.
Infinite challenge. Oh, when you book things, I got you. I got what you mean. Infinite challenge. There it is. Oh yeah, that playmat is super cold.
Yeah, and I
Su-
believe that's pretty much the same art they have for the hoodie.
Oh, that's cold. I
Yeah,
respect. I like that. I like that a lot.
yeah, I pretty much have. Oh, and the T-shirt. They have a T-shirt as well.
Got. Oh yeah, there are these 3 round events. Are the challenges 3 round events?
The Infinite Challenge.
Like the challenges in general, are they 3 round events? Because
Oh, let me
I
confirm.
see on here that they said the prizes say if you get 3 wins, you get this. If you get 0-1 wins, I'm just curious, like what the actual prizing is.
Yeah, that would make sense that it's the three round events. Then you can just
Okay.
run them over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it makes sense. I think it's super cool that they're going to be holding a PTQ for Flesh and Blood at this event. That's going to be super
Very
fun.
cool. Yeah, very, very
Um,
cool for sure.
yeah, I'm probably going to definitely be taking part of that. I ain't gonna
Definitely.
lie. I was like, I'm probably not gonna have any time to queue for this invitation, so I'm gonna have to just try to push it out one day. Now I don't even have any reason to. I,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you aren't like pressed on it, like obviously me, that's just my mentality. I want to do this. It's just the way I approach these kind
yeah,
of events. Um, but this was also like my last weekend I could reasonably do it, so I was happy I was able to do it. But yeah, the list of just events that they have going on here, it's insane. I know that three of our people that are carpooling with us are like they're not even going to try anymore either because they're like, oh, we get championship qualifiers, we can do the infinite challenge.
Yeah, it's
I think,
like it's called SCG Con for a
Mhm.
reason. It's
Yeah,
it's
I'm
becoming
gonna
just
do
a
the
complete convention.
Innistrad Championship qualifiers probably the days that you don't have like the PTQs. Nothing wrong in between. I'm gonna do some like Flesh and Blood side events because regardless of what a lot of these Magic personalities are saying, how they're saying Flesh and Blood is gonna be a bust or whatnot and not get people. Well, he just had an event over the weekend with over 1,000 people showing up. Just
Right.
saying.
And the
Uh,
game's very young too,
you
so that's
know,
really really good sign.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is dumb, but something that I'm kind of sad if I'm looking at the schedule right that they don't have is normally Thursday night before the convention. They usually have those last chance qualifiers, but they used to also have that trivia. And unless I'm missing it, I don't see that trivia anymore. At least
Ooh.
not on their schedule, unless it's going to be something that's still happening later on.
The
But
city market building.
hmm
Oh man, that might be a thing where they're not going to be doing that.
yeah,
I've never taken part of the trivia, so I don't know what it really is. But
it's a lot of fun, honestly. The people that are on our team. Um, Danny, for example, or Jeff and Andrew, or Noah, they have like a really deep knowledge of
Really,
what's a
magic. Yeah,
Oh, it's on Magic. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
it's a magic trivia show. And you play, and it's free to play. You're at a brewery or wherever, food, and you can get drinks, and
hmm
you just play. And I only knew like a few of the questions, or I'd be able to help them solidify their answers. But it was like a great little thing to be able to watch these people nerd out on this other side of the magic, all this lore that you don't really get to talk about too much.
huh? That sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
no, that's awesome. And those while we're on the SCG con, it looks like there's gonna be some sweet artists there too. So if
Oh
you
yeah.
want to get some cards signed, this is gonna definitely be the weekend to do that. Welcome to Roanoke Guide. That's super hilarious. Spooky Sealed looks awesome, by the way. Did you guys see Spooky
What in the
Sealed?
heck is spooky sealed?
Six
All the
boosters.
Innistrad.
It's Innistrad, Dark Ascension, Shadows, Eldritch Moon, and then two Midnight Hunt boosters.
Oh, okay. That's hot.
That
That's
is
hot.
gonna be. It's
That's a good
unfortunately
chance
gonna.
I'm gonna play that.
It's unfortunate that it's gonna be the same time as the PTQ I gotta do for Flesh and Blood because mine's actually gonna be a sealed event too, which is thank God. I'd rather just do sealed.
Oh, well, this is awkward. For that spooky sealed, there's a cap of 36 players,
Oh no.
so I don't
Damn.
like. Obviously, when I go, I would want to try to make it to, the Sunday finals, but
They're very good at refunding and stuff in that nature. So you could probably register if you get qualified and be like, "Hey, I can't play in this because I made the top 8," which
no,
Really?
you're
I lied. There's. It's at noon. The championship qualifier is running at 9. I'll probably do that.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Mhm.
I hate that these kind of events are capped at rounds. I'm never a big fan of those style things. I don't like things that are capped at rounds because then it make I
It's real awkward. Like sometimes it's supposed to be like 6 rounds, and it causes the tiebreakers to be real weird.
yeah, cause
Or you're like where you would have normally been able to play the 5 rounds, win, and you're in. Or play 4, lose, and you have a shot at the last round and win
yeah,
to get in. So sometimes you're just like, nope, you're dead. That's
being
period.
X
You're dead.
and 1 and missing out of this like a 300-person tournament or something is fucking disgusting.
Mhm.
Like so
It's not
disgusting.
great. It is not
Me and
great.
Steven
That
have
is.
done that plenty of times in the PTQs at
Yep.
events.
Yep.
But But yeah, but no SCG Con it looks like gas. I'm gonna enjoy it. There is gonna be a mask mandate, so everybody be ready for that. Dewey's gonna be getting his mask this weekend.
I
Uh,
am hype.
I wore mine all weekend because I went to an event over the weekend. I
Yeah, I saw that.
not too far, not too far.
Not too far. Why don't
Just
you tell us a little bit about
yeah.
that, Larry?
Went
Mm-hmm.
went over to sunny Las Vegas. It was averaging about 107 degrees every day I was there.
Good
It was
Lord.
super funny. We'd go out. It'd be like 10 p.m. So the sun's been down for about 2-3 hours. It's still like 96 degrees. It's nothing. But I will say, I tell people this all the time. That whole talk about dry heat and humidity, that is real. It is a real
Yeah.
difference, and you'll
Oh yeah.
notice.
It's funny. This entire summer, I've actually not ran my AC. I just run it on the dry mode, where all it does is drain the humidity of the air, blow it into my house, and it keeps it super cool.
Okay. That ain't us.
No, oh no, I run that
Hell no.
AC, dude.
My
Love the
the
AC.
dude staying with me over the over the weekend in Vegas. He's like, can we put the AC on 70? I'm like, nope,
On 70.
nope.
Okay.
I'm like, nah, here we ain't. I was like, it has to be in the 60 range. I want it to be in the 50 range, but I'll meet you in the middle. I was
Julia
like,
gets so angry at me when she comes home and it's at like 60 or 58, dude. She
yeah.
gets pissed. But I do it when she's not here pretty often, actually.
Oh, I.
Yeah, when I'm in the office, there was myself and the property manager, and this is at one of our locations now, and we both like it cold. Like,
Yeah.
we're in the 60s guaranteed for the AC, and the rest of the staff, they're like, "Oh my God, it's freezing!" And we're like, "No, this is comfy. This is what we're looking for."
Yeah, this is exactly what we want.
This is all we
It's
wanted
livable.
in life. No, that's super awesome though. I love it when you're able to keep the code because that's all it should be.
Mhm.
But yeah, I kept it on super code. The AC was on really well for the convention center. There was a huge mining convention going on, and I mean
Oh yeah,
huge.
yeah.
Oh my god. Like, and I remember, so one point of the weekend, it was on Friday, I want to say. We were standing there in line to get our free goodies and stuff for signing up because they actually, unlike Magic, they give you playmats and stuff just for entering. You don't have to pay extra for it.
That's
Surprise,
nice.
surprise. Then I sold the playmat for $75. It was a good time.
That's
Um,
really nuts.
That's what we used to be able to do at GPs. You'd show up, you'd get your promo, you get your playmat, sell them both, and enter the event for either nothing, a profit, or a small loss.
yeah, I honestly, after all selling all the promos and everything I got this weekend, I actually left with a little bit ahead. Surprisingly enough, all
Nice.
the way to Vegas too, which is super funny because I sold a bunch of cards and stuff, like extra cards. That's why I've been holding on to them for so long. Is I was like, I'm going to a big event, and for those that aren't aware, I've been playing a lot of Flesh and Blood. They had their first like quote unquote the closest thing to compare it to is a Grand Prix. It's called the
Hmm.
Calling Event. It's the first one they've ever done in the United States. They do most of them in New Zealand. They actually have one. They're gonna have their first one in Europe in the next coming months.
Very cool.
But yeah, Vegas was the first one they've done out of New Zealand or whatnot, and they had a big event. They actually had a thing called the World Premiere, which is essentially a
Okay.
pre-release for the next set. It's a pre-release to the pre-release because pre-release is this weekend. Funny enough, it lined up the same weekend as Magic. um,
That's cool.
so it ended up there's a pre-release this weekend. Well, they did a world premiere. What's super cool? They have a thing in this game called Fables, right?
Okay.
They're like one per so many cases. They spoiled and previewed every card except for that one. They weren't gonna let the hat out the bag till somebody opened it.
Wow.
When people opened it, people went crazy in that building because that card's probably it was like $4,000 or $5,000, something like that. I don't know. You want to talk about money thing? Wait till I tell you about the PTQ. And I will compare it in Magic terms a little bit on what you win for those things.
Uh huh.
So it's super exciting. They had about 960 players for that event,
Okay.
just for a pre-release. So we had 960 players deep. They gave us each of them each. There was 3 promos. You got one of each of them for playing in it. You got 6 first edition boosters, which in this game as well they have first edition on unlimited printing runs. First edition are similar to collector boosters. Think that's like a good comparison. Is there collector boosters? They're not like collector boosters where they're foil, but usually they, in regular sets, they have a thing called rainbow foil. They're foiled in a specific way,
Mhm.
but then they have code foils, which is like the complete foil that you would see in Magic. And with that, so first edition has the code foils, so you open up these code foils, and they're gonna have good like price ranges on them. And that's the appeal. Usually boxes average about 100, where usually boxes around 70. So they're not too much. Like, obviously, the longer you wait to get them, because they are a limited print run, the higher the pricings will go. Like, If you get the alpha boxes right now of the first like set, it's like can be like $5,000 to $10,000 for a box. But that's similar to how Magic's like, you know, when the printing run goes out, then collectors like that's what drives the prices up.
Right.
But they have unlimited runs, which is an unlimited printing run. That's why they call it an unlimited print run. You know,
Right.
that's where they got the name for it. So it all balances everything out. So at that same time, we went and did that. People opened. Actually, the guy he ended up opening one of the cold foils and was able to sell it and make a good amount of money off it, which was cool. And then they had the main event, which is just like Grand Prix. I learned a lot of stuff, like rulings and stuff that I wasn't aware of. So let me go over some special rules that is way different than Magic. One, when you draw, like let's say you draw a round, both players get 0 points, so there won't be any intentional draws. I've mentioned it a few times before how I like that idea.
Right.
Another thing I learned, you are not allowed to concede to your opponent at the end of the match. Like, so let's say you were both, you're going to draw. You're super behind on board. And you're like, hey, I'm super behind on board. I think I'm going to give you the win. You can't do that. Cannot do that.
And
Can't do that unless you are going to drop from the tournament. Right there on that spot. Is the only time you can do that. And the reason they do this is to reduce the chances of collusion.
Mm-hmm.
So they go, and if you drop, you don't get prized. Is another thing. So they're like, hey, you could drop, but that's it. You're done. They want to try to reduce. They're doing everything they can to make sure there ain't no collusion stuff happening in the game, which, hey, I'm all for. That's cool.
Yeah.
right.
I like that. I think, honestly, some other people, and it helps. They did spend 9 years developing this and developing the rules for like competitive and stuff. So I get it. They've had time to. They probably were like looking at it, and they're probably looking at other games on what some of the player player outcries were about and stuff, and they probably utilize that to their advantage.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So did the main event. I don't have a testing team or anything, so I don't get to do a lot of testing for the game, and it showed. I didn't have the experience to do very well, which I didn't expect to do. I went for the experience.
Right.
And I gained a ton. Like, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know that I know now, which is going to help me in the future. I did do really well because I adapted to the limited formats really well. Never drafted till I went this weekend, and I was doing really well in the drafts. I prized every draft I played.
Very good.
Impressive.
Awesome,
Yeah. Didn't get knocked out because it's the same. Like, you get 1 win, you can get so much, then 2 wins, 3 wins, yada yada. Did a sealed event. The only downside to playing this game is there's a lot of decisions in this game.
Right.
A lot of decisions. Like, honestly, the amount of decisions, it makes me think Magic's easy. But that's because I've been playing Magic for a long time, keep in mind.
Yeah.
I leave with a headache after each day of this event. I'm like, man, because I got to do so much thinking and so much, like, planning. But, yeah, the event was good. I can say, though, I started out 1-0 in the main event. I was technically undefeated in the first ever U.S. calling event. So I'm going to use that. I was officially undefeated. I'm doing a write-up. I didn't do like actual tournament reports. I could have, but I decided to do an actual report for the whole weekend. And
I like that.
Yeah, I'm doing a write-up on that. Obviously, it's going to talk about my results from the limited one on Friday to this, because I went in without looking at any of the previews. Like, I don't know the previews. We're going to be discussing the previews for this upcoming set for Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And I didn't look at any of these previews, like besides ones I might have seen one here or there. And that was the same way with this. I seen a few of them here and there, but I didn't actively go look. I was like, I like doing it blind. It's more fun to me. I get to enjoy the game. I wasn't there to win. But yeah, the promos they gave us, I sold those, and I sold them for like 3 promos for like 125. So my entry was not that high. It might have been like, what was it, like $40-$50 to play in that event or something like that. So already, the playmat was another $75 because you got a specific playmat for that game. So right there alone, I made like $150 just playing in that side event. And the PTQ they do was sealed as well. It's always first edition sealed,
Mhm.
and it's $40, and you get 6 first edition booster packs. So that's already a pretty good deal right there in itself.
Right.
And then, first place got a thing called a cold foil. In addition to whatever prize tickets and stuff you get, similar how I don't know if you ever saw the PTQs at Grand Prix, they would give you so many boxes along with the prize tickets.
Mhm.
So they give you a cold foil. Well, the cold foil for first place was it's called Arcane Skull Cap. It's a very it's a regular version of it's like $250 to play just for an unlimited printing. So this is a special gold bordered cold foil. You can only get it by winning these Pro Quest events.
Mhm.
He sold it to a vendor for $7,000.
Holy
He
crap.
paid
Whoa,
$40 to play in this tournament, and he made $7,000.
Quality right there.
I think he did okay. And then people was super funny. They were like, "Oh, you should have held on to it." You out your fucking mind. Yeah, it's your fucking mind to think you can hold on to that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm shipping that.
Right,
100% every time I'm shipping that.
so we went and talked to the vendor, right? And we're
Mhm.
talking. They said they specifically wanted to vend the event to get their hands on that card.
Wow. I mean, I guess it makes sense when these cards are like such a sought after item. You just want to go, hey, I'm just going to go for this. I want to go here. I want to be here. I want to take part of this. So,
Yeah. The game is super fun. I really like the gameplay. I do need to find more people to test and stuff with, because that's a big issue I'm having right now.
right.
Is not having a testing partners for this game like I do in Magic.
Mhm.
But once I can get that figured out, I think it's gonna work out way better for me. But no, overall, it was an awesome weekend. I'm very glad I took a part of it. Usually events in Vegas are really sweet to do. They had the mask mandate, and they enforce it well. If you got told a second time, they immediately kicked you out of the building. Like you
Like
were
that.
done. They enforced it very well. I give Channel Fireball a lot of credit. I thought they did good. There's a few things, obviously, I want to be constructive on both sides of the ballpark, of course. There were
Mhm.
some things I want to see improvements on. But overall, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of confusion because a lot of the big issue is a lot of the judges came from Magic, so they have the thought that they can use their Magic experience to lead the way, but they have to understand this is a different game, and I think they need to work on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Channel Fireball did make specific judge out shirts for everyone, and they were super bright yellow, so there was no way in the world you were gonna get them mistaken for anyone else. You could see them a mile away. They made sure of it, which I was all for. I was like, I like it when you're actually able to distinct the judges from the players. That's why I don't like the new blue shirts that Magic judges have. I don't know if you've seen them or not.
I have.
I'm not a big
Not
fan of
I'm
them.
not super geeked about it. I mean, I like that it's different, and I like it more than what was it, the black shirts they used to have. Like, I like the problem with the black shirts is that really doesn't stand out, right? Like, you have a heart. A lot of people just wear black anyway, so
Yup. Yo, what is up with their prize support for this Flesh and Blood events at the SCG Con? A $20 Blitz Deck Constructed event at noon that day. First place gets $1,000.
Hmm.
What the fuck is this event? These are nuts. I need to take a snapshot of this. I'm about to just share this really quick. Bear with me really quick. We're gonna save that for Tails Blitz event. We're gonna share that among the different groups. But yeah, SCG Con running Flesh and Blood is gonna be awesome. I wouldn't doubt. I was telling people if you start seeing classic style events for Flesh and Blood going forth when they start getting back to their regular open seasons.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of controversy right now regarding SCG Con and some people's perspectives on it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you feel comfortable to go, I definitely recommend that you do take part of this event if you're going to go to any event. I know we're going to be taking part of it, and it's going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Any last thoughts before we move into our main thought about? I know Dewey, you're going to be playing the main event. Steven's going to be playing this event. We got some more people on the team going to be playing. We got people that's just going to go for side events, including
Yep.
myself. It's going to be a good time.
Oh yes.
I might even buy one of these fancy shirts.
Oh, buddy.
I'm 100% buying a hoodie.
I can't even find my sweater or my team sweater. It just disappeared during the pandemic. I don't know where the hell it went. It just disappeared. I'm like, I need a new one. I don't know.
Such a professional.
Hey, I think Steven took it.
You think Steven took it?
I do. I think that was Steven's plan the whole time. I'm gonna take his hoodie because fuck him.
So mean.
But that was our weekends. We all had a good weekend. This weekend coming up, me and Dewey are going to be traveling to good old Maryland. I am traveling so much. Oh my god.
I'm right there with you.
Bro, you ain't right here nowhere with me. I got home at 5 this morning.
But I'm like traveling. I'm not traveling just for Magic. I'm also traveling a lot for work.
Oh, sounds like you were home all weekend. Just saying. No, you did just travel to Chicago for like a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've both been traveling a lot. So and then when I've been traveling like a week and went to Findlay, Ohio the week before. Like, gotta go to Findlay, Ohio. Not Findlay, Ohio. Yeah. It's like Frederick, Maryland, is where we're going this weekend. Which we're gonna be organizing the details later tonight. I told Brandon that we would do that.
Makes sense because I was just looking at that.
Yeah, but I figure me and you will. I'll hash it with you, and then we can like get it all coordinated. But yeah, but this weekend, for those that ain't doing that, it's pre-release weekend. And with it being pre-release weekend, there's going to be some sweet cards coming out, and it's going to be a new standard format. There's a rotation coming up in just a few days for Arena, at least. I don't know when it goes into effect for Paper. I apologize. I don't really know because of how Arena and Paper is not lined up together. It confuses me.
Usually like a week delayed.
Yeah, it just I just don't like how it's all they don't put them in like sync them together. I don't like I have to remember 2 different dates. It's pretty annoying.
That's fair.
But here we are. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome. I think the Legacy event's gonna be super fun that we're gonna do, and then I think that we're gonna have some sweet new decks coming into the fold. But to get to those new decks, we got to go through these new cards. And today we're going to talk about the rares and mythics. We're not going to spend a lot on each card because we do have 84 cards to get to. It's more like 79 because all the lands are grouped together. We're going to start with the white cards. I feel like since we're going to start with the white cards, we might as well let Steven kick it off with Adeline. Steven?
Oh, yeah. Adeline Resplendent Cathar is a 1 generic 2 white legendary human knight. It has vigilance. Excuse me. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. Seems like a fine card, probably a EDH kind of card. Seems like to me. But it could be constructed and playable.
It's a 3-drop, really so
yeah, it has 4 toughness too, which is not terrible.
Yeah,
yeah, not awful. Could be pretty good. Do you want me to do all the white cards or what's
no? I feel like we can all like make a little comment about it. This just reminds me of like Brimaz kind of stuff. Like obviously this doesn't do the blocking feature, but usually these kind of cards have traditionally gotten played, right?
Yeah, I would see this card getting played though.
Yeah, especially being a 3-drop, right? It's a little bit different. Like you had the one, what was it, the 4 or 5-drop one, the cat one, because it was a little more expensive. And this also has very 2 relevant creature type. I guess knights won't be as relevant going forward, but human is definitely going to be relevant in this set.
Yeah.
Yeah, a white human is just going to be really good. And it's typically has always been very good in like the Innistrad style sets.
And Mono White is already one of the best decks in Standard 2022 with a pretty good go-wide value creature plan. I mean, this creature alone, or just by itself, is going to represent 2 damage when it's swinging, right?
Yeah.
The first time, and then just keeps adding pressure to the board.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Book of the Exalted Deed won't be banned once this is rotated this week. That was just for that special
Mm-hmm.
arena event. That had nothing to do with the actual constructed format when it became legal. They specified that in the announcement.
Right, and that makes sense.
Yep. All right, you go on to the next one, Steven.
Okay. Brutal Cathar. 2 generic and a white. It is a human soldier werewolf. When this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Brutal Cathar, exile target creature and opponent controls until this creature leaves the battlefield. Daybound. If a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night next turn.
Let's
And
flip it.
yeah, let's flip this over here. Okay, it's a 3/3 first strike, ward, pay 3 life, and Nightbound. If a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day next turn. So, do they transform when it becomes day and night? Is that how that works?
Yeah, they essentially gave Transform a new mechanic.
A new. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, but when
They
do they
did
transform?
it because there's some cards we're going to be encountering that's going to say, like, hey, if it's day or if it's night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They'll force things to happen.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason that they did that. I did read that they're not going to change any of the old cards to match that. That's only going to be in this set. But that could change, obviously. You know, I've seen crazier things happen. But yeah,
Right.
Steven, go ahead and give your thoughts on this card on initial look at it.
It seems not too bad. I mean, it's like a banisher priest kind of card. And then when it flips, it's pretty good at dishing out damage, hard to target. And then when it flips back, it banisher priests again, which means you can put multiple creatures under this card, if I'm understanding this right, because
Yeah, that's the way I'm reading it. It's saying it's when it enters or transforms.
Yeah, and it's until it leaves. So you can actually get multiple creatures under this guy.
I'm curious if it's only until it flips.
It doesn't say that.
Enters the exile target creature poker until it leaves the battlefield. I don't think they leave the battlefield when they transform.
Right, it's still on the battlefield, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the way this is worded, you should be able to get multiple creatures under if you can set that up. Now, setting that up is not the easiest thing in the world, obviously, but pretty nuts that you can get multiple creatures under the same card. It's pretty cool.
Very impressed with that.
Yeah, that's really cool for sure.
So yeah, I would assume this card's going to be pretty good. I think it's just better Banisher Priest, honestly.
Yeah, the card definitely seems playable. I think, again, it has the human keyword, which that's always very good to have, you know. Yeah, I think the card's playable.
Yeah, and I think they're pushing humans quite a bit in this set again, too.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's like a thing they try to keep consistent with these Innistrad sets, is they like to push humans and werewolves mainly.
Honestly, both these cards we just looked at might be more relevant in Historic than they end up being in Standard, funny enough. Because Historic humans is gas right now. So both these cards are definite cards that mono-white humans or green-white humans or Abzan humans would be interested in trying for sure, I think. Which is pretty cool.
I'll agree. All right, we can move on to the next one.
All right. Curse of Silence, 1 white. Enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. As Curse of Silence enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name enchanted player casts cost 2 more to cast. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell with the chosen name, you may sacrifice Curse of Silence. If you do, draw a card. Seems like an okay hate card, I think. I expect this card may see some sideboard play. But other than that, I don't think it's like too crazy or anything. But it seems like a pretty good tool to have in sideboards in Standard, maybe.
Yeah, the cards. The reason I actually like this card, so it's doing so it's gonna go very well with you're playing cards like, what's the 3-drop that lets you do that already when you look at a card from their hand and it adds 2 to the cast it, Elite Spellbinder.
Yeah.
It does that. Obviously, you can name the other cards too. And what's super cool with this is once they get to the late game and they finally can pay into the tax and they're like, all right, I can finally play this. You're like, all right, I made you tax it so much. You finally paid it because you have to use all your mana. I guess I'll draw a card now.
Yeah.
Like that's I like that a lot.
Seems
Yeah.
really annoying. Can you imagine how annoying this is with Luris, by the way? I mean, in standard that won't be relevant, but in historic, this could be very annoying.
The ability to just cast that
Yeah,
over and over and trigger
yeah,
draws.
curse them, and then like Larry said, they finally pay the tax, and then you're like, sweet, I'll draw a card, and I'm gonna Luris it back, and I'm gonna recurse you.
Yeah, and I'll just name something else. So you do it. Yeah, if you do it early, they start to have to tax their 3 or 4 drops, and then you're like, all right,
Yeah.
now I'll tax your 5 drops, and
Yeah.
like it's gonna be quite good. I like the card a lot. I think it's a
Yeah,
really cool hate piece.
it is a cool hate piece for sure.
Hmm.
This card is interesting to me for I'm playing more and more Legacy now, but a 1 mana
Oh my god!
effect in Legacy for this seems great, right? Um,
Yep,
I wonder if this is a D&T card.
could
yeah,
be.
it seems like it would fit well in that kind of structure. I don't know if it's better than what they already have going on, but I don't know. 2 mana tax on the particular cards, like just seem like this also because it's a May effect on the sack. I mean, dropping this on turn 1 against like a storm deck instead of having to wait till like turn 2 for Damping Sphere.
Yeah,
Just targeting their key cards if you know what you need to go after might be a
Yeah,
good way to fight it. So
yeah, I agree there. Like I said, and cursing somebody in Legacy, you don't get a lot of lands in Legacy typically. Like
no, like I mean,
adding 2. That's why I actually am shocked the least Spellbinder don't get more play.
I think it's because he takes 3 mana himself to
Yeah,
drop
3
down.
mana is very high, so that is actually a good reason. But I'm just saying those kind of effects is so taxing. Like you play these things against Delver, like
Hmm
that is brutal. Like if you go all right, name Brainstorm,
yeah,
I
spell
mean,
3 mana
that's what I imagine
Brainstorm.
it's gonna be every time. It's gonna be if you're playing against just like a blue deck, like I'm gonna slam Brainstorm because that's always there. So
yep,
Yeah, I'll be like,
yep,
all right, name Brainstorm. Brainstorm's a sweet card, but it's way worse at 3 mana.
yep.
Like that is not where you want to be because now it's gonna be hard to get your fetches lined up because usually you want to be able to brainstorm and actually like fetch the stuff away and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like it's pretty nifty. I like that card a lot. So far, I've liked the first 3 cards we've talked about.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, they've been pretty cool for
Yep,
sure.
I'll take the next 3. We have Enduring Angel, 2 and triple white, so 5 mana total. Surprise, surprise, it's an angel. It's a 3/3 flying double strike. You have hexproof. If your life total would be reduced to 0 or less, instead transform Enduring Angel and your life total becomes 3. Then if Enduring Angel didn't transform this way, you lose the game. Okay. And then the other side is flying. You have hexproof. Its power and toughness are equal to your life total. Whenever it attacks, double your life total. I'm okay. So the first thing I think they added the didn't transform this way clause to try to prevent it from getting busted in any way.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like it when they do stuff like that. So it says instead, so if you're going to die, you transform this and your life total goes back to 3. Then you transform it. You won't lose the game because this is how you're transforming.
Mhm.
And then you still have the hexproof clause. Power and toughness equal to your life total, so it essentially becomes a 3/3 flyer. And when it attacks, you double your life total, so you go big boom.
Becomes a 6/6, and you're at very interesting
And
card.
because of how like damage and all that works, I'm assuming so you attack and let's say they block with a 3/3. It would double your life total. Yeah, it would double your life total immediately. So then you
Yeah, it's on swing. It's a trigger ability.
yeah. Yep. I just want to make sure I was understanding it correct. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I also think it's cool that they got some transform cards and stuff that do have day bound and then some that don't.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. What's your thoughts on these? On this, I should say.
Um, it's a very interesting card. That's my thoughts on this one. Very, very interesting card. Um, I really can't determine if this is actually good or not, but it seems like it could be interesting and Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a really interesting card. I have no idea if this is actually playable or not, but it does a lot of things. I'll give it that, and it could be pretty sweet, especially against like maybe I don't even know. In a control deck, it'd be weird because you're gonna want to play sweepers and things like that. So it probably isn't great there. But I don't know. I don't know. What do you think of this card, Dewey?
So I think this card's actually going to be good. I think this card's going to see play. Like, I could easily see this being like a 1 or 2 of in a sideboard, possibly even 3 of if aggro's very popular. Just for you kind of fade a turn completely when you drop this, right? Like, they have to deal with it. And by itself, it's already a decent threat. It's interesting because, like, it's doing that whole, I'm not dead this turn effect, but it's also fragile because it itself doesn't have hexproof.
Right. It's just a 3/3, so it dies to any like
Yeah.
bolt kind of effect.
And that's why I don't think it'll see play in anything outside of standard. Maybe something, and I think it's way too low power for historic or pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this,
Yeah, not.
this
Yeah,
ain't
if
where I
it
wanna
sees
be.
play, I think it'll see play in a sideboard, in standard, and that might be it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with you guys on that one.
Yep.
The next card is Faithful Absence. It's 1 in a white instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Its controller investigates.
Huge fan.
Yeah, it's a good removal spell. Like,
Very.
Deck and Stone was a heavily played card in the last format we had in Innistrad. This is going to do the same thing. It's going to get heavily played, I think, in any white base like deck like this. So,
Right.
I think that I think it's playable. I think we're all on the same page that obviously this is a good Magic card.
Yep.
The next one is Intrepid Adversary. 1 in a white, Human Scout 3/1 lifelink. Enters the
Card looks
battlefield,
great
you may
already.
pay 1 in a white. What'd you say?
I said this card sounds great already.
Enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 in a white any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many Valor counters on this creature. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each Valor counter on this.
Yeah, this card's unreal.
That card's
great.
awesome.
This card is super good.
So it's a
It was
nice
already,
little.
it was already good as a 2-mana 3/1 lifelink human, man. Like that's
And
already like pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is the card that people were talking about in Modern Humans.
I believe that. For
They were
sure,
talking because you can vial it in and then
Yep, and
mana
then you
sink.
pay. Yeah, I was thinking about it with like in Coco decks. You can also pay if you hit it off of Coco if you have
Yep.
excess mana.
The fact that it's an enter the battlefield, not in a cast trigger, is super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this card too. So far, the white cards have been very good, and that's surprising because white's the worst color in Magic.
Well, yeah, maybe that's part of the reason they're doing it is because people have been kind of like, dude, what the heck?
It's one turn, no longer blue and green.
Yeah. We need to. Well, don't worry, we got time. We haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
We say that now. We say that now. We're gonna.
All right.
Don't jinx us.
Right.
But no, this card actually does some. All jokes aside, I think this card's gonna get a lot of play.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad it's a mythic because boy oh boy.
Yep.
Imagine if this was uncommon.
Yeah, that card in limited is insane.
Yep. I'll do the next one too. The next one is Sigarda Splendor. 2 in a double white enchantment. It enters the battlefield. You note your life total. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card if your life total is greater than or equal to the last noted life total for Sigarda Splendor. Then you note your life total again. When you cast a white spell, you gain 1 life. This is an interesting card. I'm not a big fan of having to do those kind of things, especially when it comes to paper Magic.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this is another one of my complaints for these cards. We're like, they're kind of creating a lot of this stuff with Arena in mind. It's not the end of the world in this one because you can just write a piece of paper, stick it in the sleeve or whatever. But
yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't like the I just don't like things that can like open the door for people to like angle shoot and stuff and these kind of things.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it does do that. But I really do. I actually really like this card design.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like the design. It's just when those doors get open, I'm not a
It
big
sucks.
fan.
Yeah, it really sucks. I definitely agree and hear what you're saying. But
Mhm.
overall, the card design that is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I like that it continues to adjust based on your life total because that might actually make it like a playable card. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. Like this card could be very annoying out of like control sideboards. Um, just like very difficult to like because say you're playing a control mirror and you resolve this. This is basically a Phyrexian arena because
Hmm.
your opponent you keep if you're equal to what it was before, you continue to draw cards. You don't even have to cast a white spell because no one's pressuring each other in a control mirror. So this is literally just going to be stick it and draw 2 cards a turn.
Yeah.
Super good.
Even if not, like you, that blue-white control shell with the monk class that was popping
Yep.
around.
Oh
Ooh,
right, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Monk class benefits enchantments, right?
it certainly does.
Yeah, so yeah. This is the exact kind of card that deck would like for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, this
very
card,
cool.
this card's
Very
nice.
cool. I think this card's really good, actually. I think this card is going to be quite good and is pretty awesome build around too.
Oh wait, no, it's it was Claire class that cared about life, but I still think this card is pretty good. I like the idea of using this with that in that monk class control shell
Yep,
that we had seen. So
yep,
But yeah, I
yep.
think this card is going to be super cool. I'm excited for it. I'm excited
Mhm.
for the next card, but I'll let Dewey take the next three and the final three white cards.
All right, so we got Sigardian Savior, 3 and 2 white. It is an angel, 3/3 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return up to 2 target creatures with mana value 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. I like it. I like it a lot. Um, we had talked about this prior with the whole pod thing. Um, See, this kind of text, easy fix, right? Like if they're worried about this kind of card breaking a pod deck, just add the cast clause and stuff like that. But outside of that, yeah, I think this is a good card.
Dewey just had to throw that in there. It's funny. I didn't even notice the whole the
Yeah.
cast trigger. Honestly, the cast trigger in some ways. Uh, no, yeah, no. This does fix it because I didn't realize it had this cast thing on it when
Mhm.
because Larry and I had talked about this card like a week ago or something.
Okay.
And I didn't realize it had the cast clause, so I was like really excited to play this with like Charming Prince
Mhm.
and Historic, but I guess I won't get to do my degenerate nonsense shenanigans because
That is called
they,
well design.
that's garbage, man. Garbage. I want to Charming Prince this and keep doing it, man. Come on.
Oh, dude, I get like, but this is, I could see this being played in like that Bant shell or the green white shell
Yeah, I
for
think
these
it's a
aggro
fun
decks
card.
that are popping around. Seems like a fine card to have in there. I was like a one of, maybe a two of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the card's really good though. 5 mana, 3/3 flyers, a fine rate. It's a really fine rate when you're bringing two more things back with it. Like
Oh yeah.
when you're paying 5 mana to get a 3/3 flyer and two additional cards, it's pretty nice. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's gonna be like a heavily played. It may not even get like super standard play. I think it'll get some like fringe play. I don't know if it'll be a staple card though.
No, no,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't
I don't.
expect it to be a staple card, but it's a cool card if nothing else.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm excited. The next card has a new mechanic. It looks like so. I'll let Dewey kick it off.
All right, so Sun Gold Sentinel, 3/2, one colorless, one white, human soldier. Whenever Sun Gold Sentinel enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. And it has Coven?
Yep, that's what it looks like.
Coven, so one colorless, one white. Choose a color. Sun Gold Sentinel gains hexproof from that color until the end of turn and can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. Activate only if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers.
Yeah, so Colvin, that's the new
Mhm.
technical name for the mechanic. Because I did know that there's a trend about the three or more creatures
Yep,
thing.
3 or more creatures with different powers.
Yep, which I think that's super cool. Yeah, this has a nice little hex roof. Cards can be very annoying if they're able to like set it up in limited, because oh man, those cards are annoying.
Set it up in limited. I mean, and this is gonna see play. I mean, being able to hit the graveyard, enter the battlefield, or when it attacks, having that repeatable effect, it's already a well-costed card for a 3/2 at 2 mana. So
Yeah, definitely think it's standard play. It might get some sideboard and some like historic, but I don't think it would like be a main board card in the historic builds because they're 2 drops. And I think what they have now is a little bit better.
yeah,
But
I mean,
I definitely
you
can
have
see
like Rest in
this.
Peace, right?
You said what?
You have Rest in Peace. So if you do want to just really hit the graveyard, you can do that.
Yeah, that and they just have like Dolly's Lieutenant and stuff like that. I was looking at what they're already playing. I think that they're pretty fine on the 2 drop slot. But I definitely think this is gonna be a standard playable card for sure.
Yeah.
Steven?
Yeah, I think this card, I mean, it's a 3/2 for 2, which is already an okay rate, and yeah, I think it's all right. It seems it might be somewhat difficult to set up the 3 different powers thing. That one's interesting, but I think it's a cool card nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm only thinking it's easy to set up because I think it's dumb because all these cards seem pushed already to 3 power for 2 mana. I think I could see you running out of 1 drop that's 1 power, then this at a 3, and then something at like either a 2 power on the
Yeah.
following turn. But you probably don't need to activate this till turn 4 or 5. But
Actually,
activating it early, that seems rough.
yeah, you're not going to be activating it early. But like I said, I think the card's fine. I think it'll be a standard good card. I just don't think it's good enough for for the other formats.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the last
Finish
card
it
is
off.
Yep, Vanquish the Horde. 6 colorless, 2 white, sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, and it destroys all creatures.
Card's gonna be so fucked up in EDH. Oh my god.
Oh my god,
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
god.
just a 2 mana wrath in
It's
EDH.
gonna be a
isn't it? Ooh,
2 drop.
Yeah, that's gonna be great in EDH. Did you even play this in Standard?
I have no idea.
What's the other options for board wipes in standard?
Do we have the foretell one still? We do, right?
Yes,
Doomscar?
yeah.
Star? Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
I
gotta
think
be
that
better
card's
than
gonna get
this, I
way
think.
more play going forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
But-
But this card, it's like if people do play this in their deck,
It'd
which,
be like a
you know,
fifth board wipe, I think.
Yeah, and it will lead your opponent to make like being a creature deck against knowing an opponent who has this card will lead you to like have to make some interesting decisions. I'm sure. You know, obviously you don't want to run threats into sweepers anyway, which but I don't know. It would make you like not want to like if there's like a true go wide like white aggro deck that like produces tokens with like Clarion Spirit's still legal, right? Or no?
I think so.
I think
I think
so.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is. So like if there was like a mono white Clarion Spirit aggro deck, you know, they're gonna probably have 4 or 5 creatures by turn 3. So that'd be kind of awkward. You would have to try and like play around this card, I think, which would lead to some interesting decisions.
Yeah. Clarion
But
Spirit
overall,
was
I think Doomscar is going to be better than this card.
Clarion Spirit was in Kaldheim, so we'll still have that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty sick. I forgot Clarion Spirit's gonna be lit. A lot of these white cards look pretty good with Clarion Spirit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's jump over to the blue cards. Unless we have anything else we want to talk about for any of these white cards.
I don't think so. No.
All right. Let's go ahead and Steven, kick it off.
Okay. We've got Curse of Surveillance, 4 generic, 1 blue. It's an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, any number of target players other than that player each draw cards equal to the number of curses attached to that player. This card is kind of cool. It seems like one of the better curses. Honestly, this and the white one earlier was a curse too, wasn't it? Curse
Yeah.
of Silence.
It was
These
a curse.
curses so far seem a lot better than the curses they gave us last time around, which is nice because people tried to like make those curses playable and they just weren't.
Right.
And so far, both of these curses like could definitely be playable. Like again, Curse of Surveillance in a grindy like control mirror or like mid-range mirror or something, like Curse of Surveillance would be annoying as heck, dude. Like they're just drawing 2 cards a turn again. Um, Obviously, it's a delayed draw. It's on their upkeep, but still, you're just getting continual value. Seems like an interesting card. I don't know if there will be like an actual curse deck. If there is, this card would be insane there. Um, but even as just like a sideboard option for like blue control or mid range decks, it could be cool there for sure. Um, so yeah, it seems really interesting. And again, it's another enchantment, which monk class makes enchantments cheaper, right? Like, hold on, I'm gonna pull up the wording on monk class because I really don't remember at all what that card does.
Yeah,
I
go
call
ahead
it for
and
data.
Definitely do that.
yeah, go ahead and pull that up. But
Yeah, I'm definitely doing this because we've seen a lot of like good enchantments already. So
Yeah.
okay, for those that don't remember, just like me, monk class is a white blue enchantment. It says the second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. You may pay a white and a blue. When this class becomes level 2, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and then 1 blue and a white. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. For as long as it remains exiled, it has you may cast this card from exile as long as you've cast another spell this turn. So it does not specifically care about enchantments. For some reason, I thought it did. But either way, these are all, you know, potentially cool cards for like a blue white mid range or a blue white control, like tap out control kind of deck. So something to keep in mind.
yeah, no, that's definitely true. I think it could be actually lead to some interesting things. Um, Curse, when I look at this card, it comes out to me that this was designed with EDH in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely going to be a sweet little card, very political card when it comes to EDH.
Oh yeah.
Like you put, I can promise you, when you in EDH, you put it on somebody, they're not picking you, unless it's heads up, you ain't getting picked.
Uh huh.
Yep.
Unless you, and then that might not always be true. You could be like, hey, can I put this on you? And then be like, oh, let's create an alliance. That's like the EDH, like politics, right?
Yeah.
I don't imagine. I personally don't see this being played in standard. I could be wrong. I've seen crazier things happen. Remember, nobody thought Command the Dreadhorde was a standard play. They ever thought it was a bulk rare, and that turned out to be really good.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see. My prediction, it won't be standard playable. This is just a EDH card.
Sure.
Dewey, any final thoughts on it?
No, I agree with you. I think it could be like barely playable, if anything, fringe play. Like what Steven was talking about, where if it is like a control mirror slamming this down on your opponent could just be so backbreaking because then they either have to tap out in some way, shape, or form to get rid of it, but then you're already going to draw a card. Um, like it replaces itself as long as it resolves and gets to their turn, so then you're
Right.
fine. So I like that a lot. And yeah, I think the only reason we were thinking about the monk class is because it dealt so much with enchantments is why
Yeah.
we were, and then you're bouncing it back to your hand and getting more value. But with these curses, it's not gaining the value from
Mm-hmm.
casting it or anything again. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think the card's really cool though.
Mhm.
And the art's really sick though. I think the art
Art
is
is very
really
cool.
awesome. But yeah, if we ain't got nothing else to say on this one, we can move on to the next one.
Sounds good to me.
Go ahead, Steven, and you can go on to the next one.
Sounds good. Grafted Identity, 2 generic, 2 blue. It's an enchantment aura. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creature, and it gets +1/+1. Okay, so it's slightly cheaper mind control, but you have to sacrifice a creature, and it gets +1/+1. It could be playable again, like probably like a sideboard kind of card. Maybe it doesn't particularly seem amazing, but maybe it's good. Who knows? It really depends how many cards like can deal with this in play. I'm going to say at best it's going to be sideboard playable. Would be my guess.
Yeah, this card's cool. The sack of creature thing, like, man, if this didn't have that sack of creature clause. But no, this is really cool. I like the idea of being, because you could go and you could just, like, take control of something, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool. I think they did the sack of creature. They want to try to balance it in some form, tried to prevent. They're doing. I give them props. It looks like they're trying everything they can right now to prevent things from become broken.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
I think this could see play. Very meta dependent card, obviously, and I think it could be in that Bant the Bant Walkers, not Bant Walkers, the Bant Angels deck, if that's still part of the Remnant sitting around, or the Bant Party. That's what it is. Bant Party. Bant Party could play this because they've got little creatures they can sack off and they don't mind, and then steal off a big threat. So I like the thought of that. You're in a grindy creature matchup. You play the Bant Party deck because you've already got all the mana fixing you want in that pile anyway, and then you
Right.
just get to steal something and gain a massive tempo gain.
Right.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I forgot that party's gonna be a cool little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. It's very possible. Yeah, I just don't know about this card. Usually, when you can take control of your opponent's stuff, that's usually pretty good in standard.
Yeah.
Example, Age of Treachery. Obviously, we were doing some busted stuff with that card.
Yeah.
And who knows if this card could become busted. We don't get Yorion anymore, so we don't have that going for us. But there's probably something that this card can do good with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't have any other thoughts on this card. Do any of you do?
Nope, not really.
All right, we can move on to the next one then.
All right. The next one is Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. 3 generic, 2 blue. Legendary creature. Human wizard. Spells can't be countered. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. And it is a 3/4. This card seems kind of sweet, honestly. So, can this spell be countered? It can be, right?
Right, it can be because its effect doesn't come into play until after it's in play with its static effect.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This card would be really sweet if it had flash.
Oh,
I don't. It's interesting to me because it doesn't say your spells can't be countered. It says spells can't be countered.
Yeah,
Yep.
it means you can't counter your spells of your opponents either.
Mm-hmm.
Which that makes things a little awkward because typically this is the kind of card you're gonna want to be playing in a deck that's gonna be playing counter spells, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so interesting. I think it came to the design aspect. They wanted to try to like balance things, and I think
Yeah,
that
make
that
sure
was
there's
their way
nothing
of
too
doing it.
busted. Yeah.
It's a cool card.
Mhm.
I don't know it. I think this card's gonna be super funny in EDH again.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So yeah, to me, this card screams out EDH.
Yeah.
I don't think this card's gonna get played much in standard.
I don't either.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong, guys out there. Turn this into a tier card, but I'm not convinced. Any other thoughts, guys?
Not from me. Nope.
All right, I'll take the next 4, and then Dewey can take 4.
All right.
This is was that Malevolent Hermit? Malevolent. Okay.
Hermit. Yep.
1 in a blue, Human Wizard 2/1. It has a activated ability of blue and sacrifice it. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. So it goes ahead and lets you go ahead and mana leak a non-creature spell. It also has a special new mechanic called Disturb. It's 2 in a blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard, transform for its Disturb cost. It looks like the only way to get it transferred by paying for its Disturb cost. And
Yep.
on the Disturb side, it's a 2/2 flying non-creature spells you control can't be countered. If Geist would be put into the graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. All of the Disturbed cards have that wording on it, but
Makes sense. You kind of
the
have to. You just
the
gotta keep
non-creature
buying
spells can't be countered clause is nice. It's a nice little ability.
It's a very cool card. Very cool card.
Mm-hmm.
No, guys.
Again, probably a pretty cool control sideboard option for sure. Just having a mana leak sitting in play. It doesn't have to tap to do the mana leak, so it can just sit there and beat for 2 until you want to use it as a mana leak. Then you can use it as a mana leak, and it does not say disturb as a sorcery, so you can do that at instant speed, it looks like.
You still got the timestamp, bro. It's still a human because you cast it.
You cast it. I see. I see.
That would be so broke. Oh my god, I'd play it in Dredge. Like,
yeah. But yeah, it still seems good either way.
No, I think the card's gonna be good. I don't know where it's gonna fit in Standard, but I'm confident that this card could actually see somebody. I think Disturb. We're gonna see a lot of Disturb cards because I think that mechanic's really good.
Yeah.
Dewey?
Yep.
No, big fan. Same thing. I mean, good quality creatures coming down. Once again, interesting that it's human. You know, see what value that has for other archetypes out there.
Usually blue humans don't get a super ton of play, at least historically. This could change. Like, there's some sweet humans. Like, we got one that we're going to be talking about momentarily that's blue. So we'll talk about
the more of them they push out, you know, Bant humans could be a thing that pops up, or blue-white humans could be a thing.
Yeah, the ban all comes down to how good the mana actually turns out to be.
This card in a Bant Company deck would be annoying as heck because you can't counter Collected Company when this is flipped.
It's true. That's pretty funny.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah. But so man. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty interesting. I'll go ahead and did you want to make another comment, Dewey?
No, I just think yeah. I think this would be great in that Bant party deck, right? Because they care about Wizard.
I'm assuming that's what you want to build.
Yeah, or four color pile. Yeah, it's
a Wizard on both sides, which is hot.
Yep.
And like I was just saying, in a Coco deck in like Historic, it's a human or a spirit. So you could play it in like Bant humans or Bant spirits.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Very interesting card. I think it's definitely a good card. This looks very strong to me.
Yep.
I 100% agree. Moving along, we have Memory Deluge, 2 in a double blue instant. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent on to cast this. Put 2 of them into your hand and rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. As flashback for 7, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost and exile it. I think this card's fucked up. I personally do. Mainly because it has flashback.
It's an instant. Yeah,
it's an instant with flashback.
This card does look ridiculous. Yeah, totally ridiculous.
Like, looking at the top, so you look at 4 cards, you put 2 into your hand. But later in the game, it's a dig through time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's 7 mana, but still. Like,
yeah, this card looks degenerate as heck, man. Really good. Yeah, really absurdly good card. Like, annoyingly good card. Not going to be fun playing against a control deck with this in it at all.
I'm glad they did it for the amount of mana.
That way Gearhulk isn't ridiculous with it.
Well, Gearhulk don't do anything.
Yeah, neither's Mythics' Mastery also doesn't do anything with it, but it's still just good anyway, I think.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this card's really good. I think this could be a primetime player in Standard.
Oh, it is.
And Historic. I think I could see this card getting played somewhere there as well.
Oh, yeah.
The next card is, was that Partition Geist?
Yep.
2 in a blue, Spirit Knight 2/2, flying. Other spirits get +1/+1. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. That's pretty cool. The reason that I think this card's actually kind of cool is because we got a lot of the spirits left in Strixhaven. Obviously, blue would have to be like the 3rd color for a lot of stuff they gave us. But also, this Clarion Spirit actually makes spirits.
Yes.
Oh man, blue white spirits. Let's go.
Again, this card, this in historic is going to be huge because
Oh man.
now Spirits has 2 lords. That's disgusting. They have 2 lord and they have 2 like just blue lords. So like mono blue Spirits could play 8 lords. You know,
Didn't they
blue
already
blue
have
green.
2 lords?
I don't think so. They had the 1/3, and then if you played white, you had 2 lords. If you played
Okay.
the bird, um, so if you were blue white or Bant, you had 8 lords. But mono blue only had 4. So this is a really interesting card. I think it's really good, and we'll potentially see some historic play. And yeah, it will probably be a player in standard as well. But I'm again very excited for this card in historic.
Yeah, no, I think this card's gonna get standard play too, personally.
Oh,
Like
well,
I said, with Clarion Spirit, it's gonna be really good. We have another card we're gonna be talking about momentarily that seems like it might be pretty good for that. So we'll definitely have to look into that. Dewey, any thoughts on it?
I'm just a fan. The spells you cast from your graveyard that helps you do all the disturb stuff, which is pretty sweet, right? So,
That's true.
um, good design. Just I'm happy with that design. I'm happy with another lord.
Yep.
So,
But yeah, I agree. Moving along. Dang, I lost my page. Scrolled on me. Last one I'm going to cover is going to be Poppet Stitcher. 2 in a blue,
mhm.
human wizard 2/3. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Decayed reads it can't block when it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Poppet Stitcher. Flip it over. Creature token. It's an artifact now that creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have a base power and toughness of a 3/3. Begin your upkeep, you may transform it. So you have the option. So let's say they remove your tokens and you're like, all right, time to go back down to the beginning. So essentially, you make these zombies, and then essentially they'll become 3/3s without that decay ability.
Mm-hmm.
This card's cool. I think this card's really nifty. It might be pretty good in like a little temple deck because we're gonna have Delver's Secrets is gonna be in this format, which we're not gonna be covering because obviously that's not a rare mythic. And then you're playing cards like this. You're playing some tempo-y spells, whether it being like tempo-y, like cheap counter spells or like bounce effects, things of that nature. I think this card could see some play. This card's kind of cool.
This card looks good to me.
Yeah.
This card looks very good to me. Just getting value off of every single spell you cast. I mean, that is really, really strong. And 2/2s kill very quickly and add up very quickly.
Well, if you swing with a 2/2, then you have to sack it. But yeah.
Oh, right. That's what Decayed does.
Yep.
I forgot about that, and it says it right there. But you don't have to attack, right? You can build.
No.
Yeah, but
You can build them up, but they can't block.
But then when you flip, then they're all 3/3s and they don't have to sack. So
correct.
Honestly, what you're generally going to do with this card is just cast some spells, don't attack, flip it, and then just maul your opponent with a million 3/3s.
Yep.
So I still feel like it's going to be pretty nuts. Actually, I think this card's going to be really good.
And there's a bunch of other cards that are
like immediately.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of cards that are also generating you tokens in this format now too with that decay. So
yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna build a very bad historic deck. I'm gonna play this in Blue-Red Phoenix.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, it's actually like nuts there, right? If it doesn't die, you untap, you go like opt, Faithless Looting, opt, and then on your upkeep you flip it. You have a bunch of 3/3s. You just kill people. So it seems really cool to me.
Like I said, I think the card is really cool. Dewey, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take the next 4.
All right. So first up, we have Sludge Monster, 3 mana, 2 blue, horror 5/5. When Sludge Monster enters the battlefield or attacks, put a slime counter on up to 1 target creature. Non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have a base power 2/2. Huh.
That's a really cool card.
Yep.
It's a little
It is.
slow, um, but it does like hit when it enters the battlefield, which is huge, and it's a 5/5.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a card that's gonna be so annoying and limited?
Yeah.
Let me introduce you to this. Oh
Yep.
my god, this thing's
Yep.
gonna be so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think this card's really cool. Is it standard playable? I think it's
That's
kind
the
of on
thing.
it feels like it's on the fence, right? The
I
fact
don't
that it
even.
has
Yeah, I would say I don't think it is, but I'll hear
Yeah.
your argument.
Yeah,
What do you
Yeah.
I've seen crazy things. It's just that enter the battlefield trigger is pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree with you there that it's a cool.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's doing enough is my problem.
yeah, I do agree. It doesn't do a super ton, but neither did Gargaroth when it landed. Just saying.
Yeah, but the Gargaroth lets you do more things. And so Gargaroth is increasing your presence on the battlefield or getting you life or drawing you a card. This only lets you try to target your opponent's creatures and turn them into 2/2. So it doesn't even kill them, right?
No, for sure. No, it doesn't kill him. It does make them into 2/2s or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And that's my only issue is that I feel like it's doing less than I would want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
They're
I said.
also only 2/2s as long as this remains in play, right?
Yeah, that's
then
true.
They go back to normal if this dies.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Until you play another one because they're actually counters.
Yep.
Honestly, I felt like they should have been like O2 or O3 slimes creatures or whatever.
They probably wanted to balance it for limited. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably way too good for limited.
Oh, I think it would have been busted for limited.
Like it already seems like a really solid limited card for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
But
All right. So next up we have Spectral Adversary, 1 colorless, 1 blue, 2/1 spirit, flash flying. When enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 colorless, 1 blue any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on them. Then up to that many on target artifact, creature, and or enchantments phase out.
What's phasing?
Oh, it exiles until or it gets phased out. It basically doesn't exist until next turn.
Okay.
It's a real interesting card.
So, the first thing is I'm like, it's cool that we're gonna get a cycle of these.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It looks like we're getting a cycle.
Yep.
This card's really cool. The fact that it's a spirit flash flying is really freaking cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think spirits is gonna be a nice little player in some of these formats going up because of things like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
It will be.
And phasing itself is a static ability, modifies the rules of the untap during each player's untap step before the active player untaps permanents. All phased in permanents phasing that controls phase out, and then everything that's phased out phases in. So it just disappear. Basically, you're making things disappear for a turn. But the fact that you can do this at instant speed, take out some relevant creatures that you don't want, and then make them phase out, and then you get to swing in. That's kind of sick.
Yep. It gets to play as fog if it wants to.
Mm-hmm.
Like cards, I think the card's definitely a player.
Oh yeah.
Steven?
Oh, this card's good. Yeah, this card's good. We're gonna see this be a player in multiple formats. I think just
Easily.
one
Yep.
flash flyer has relevant text. Not only can you phase out your opponent's stuff, you can phase out your own things. So you can protect creatures. You can like phase out Teferi if you need to in historic. You can, yeah. It's just going to be a really
You can't hit planeswalkers. It's only artifacts, creatures, or enchantments.
Okay.
Yeah, they
fair
did
enough.
that.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny about this card is if you were to play this in a blue-white taxes deck with Vile, you could flash it in. If someone's comboing you with like Emrakul or something, you could phase out Emrakul.
Yep. It will
That's
do
pretty
some cool
funny.
stuff there.
All right, next card. 1 suspicious stowaway, 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1/1 human rogue werewolf. Suspicious stowaway can't be blocked. When it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, discard a card, and it has daybound. So let's take a look at the other side.
Yep, hold on, I'm clicking it. All right, here we go.
All right. Seafaring Werewolf, 2/1, can't be blocked either, and when it deals damage, just draws a card. And then it has Nightbound as well to flip back. Seems like a solid card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's good.
I think they're
Loot
good.
effect, then you get to go into pure draw effect.
I like that it's green on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be especially good with random flash threats, which we've
Yep.
already seen some of. So
Yep, I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah, just a big fan. Oh gosh, this is an awful. Triska Diaphile.
Triskaidekaphile, I think. Yeah, right.
I believe you.
I'm
One
willing to
colorless,
put
one
money on
blue,
it.
1/3 human wizard. You have no maximum hand size at the beginning of your upkeep if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand in the game. And is that 3 colorless and a blue draw card?
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think this is going to be the best card in the set. Standard is going to evolve around this.
Fine. In all seriousness, this is yet again another very good option out of the board in like control mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
because this is just like a lot better. Like it doesn't have 2 power, but it's more resilient with 3 toughness. This is just a lot better than a Mage is for
Yep.
that like reason. Just being able to sit there and draw cards, can't get countered. You have no maximum hand size, so you can randomly just win the game by getting to 13 cards. It would be a very annoying card in control mirrors for sure. It's really funny to me that they're staying on this Triskaideka nonsense in like every set, but this is actually a pretty cool card. So,
Is there a
I'm
full
into
set now?
what'd say?
Is there a full cycle of them now?
It feels like it, man. I don't know if it actually is, but there's just so many Triskaideka whatevers. It's pretty funny to me.
Yeah.
But either way, this one's like actually playable, which I
Yep.
like. I like this. So
Yeah. The tree was playable, right? The one that like
the tree was
Yeah.
tree was playable. That's true.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool card. This card's gonna be sweet and limited.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, being able to draw a way to just like mana sink in the drawing cards, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's go over some of these black cards now. How many? Let me take a little quick look at these.
It was 9. No.
12. All right,
Well,
each of
12.
us can get 4 of them real quick. So Steven, lead the way.
right. Bloodline Culling, 1 generic, 2 black. Choose 1. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn, or creature tokens get -2/-2 until end of turn. This card is very cool. It is basically an Ob Nixilis' Cruelty that is slightly harder to cast and doesn't exile. But then it also can just randomly be an instant speed sweeper for tokens. I'm a big fan of that. Like modal kill spells are usually pretty sweet. So I definitely like having this as a card that exists. I don't know how good it'll be, but it's a very cool option that it exists. And that's a really good thing for just moving forward in historic and standard and even in modern. Who knows? But it's just cool to have modal removal spells like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think this card is very good.
Yeah.
I like those cards. I like being able to answer like different things if one gets out of hand. Like there's a lot of times where like multiple tokens, like just a single removal spell won't cut it, but this one can actually pick up the slack. This card's sweet. I like it. We go on to the next one.
All right. Champion of the Perished.
My
1 black.
dog.
Creature zombie. Whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Perished.
This
So
reminds
there's
me of
literally
something.
yeah, I was about to say this is literally just black Champion of the Perished, hence the name Champion of the Perished. Definitely a flavor succeed here.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10.
Oh, and even the flavor text is like literally the same as Champ. It's just slightly different, because I believe the flavor text on Champion of the Parish is like, I stand for every cobbler, farmer, and fool in this town. And then the flavor text on this one is, he rose from the grave for every cobbler, farmer, and fool who'd been slaughtered in the parish, and they rose and shambled after him.
I love it.
I'm excited for historic zombies to try this card out.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting to try this card out. There might be some zombies in standard. I I don't know. I'd have to actually look through the pool. I'll probably try it
Funny,
even if
funny
it's bad.
enough, the 1-mana 2/1 from Adventures of the Forgotten Realm that like returns when you complete dungeons is a zombie, but most importantly, it's a 1-mana 2/1 for standard aggro decks.
Oh yeah.
So there could be a black aggro deck standard again for sure. We have 1-drops, and that's what that deck needs desperately is good 1-mana plays.
Yeah.
So I think there's a real chance that that deck might exist again.
And all,
Honestly, this could even make like modern zombies like
Mhm.
maybe something to
I've heard
consider in
people
Trials.
talking about that on Twitter and different platforms. So I'm very excited to see where it goes.
And I mean, for the limited format, for the standard format, all that, like all the decayed zombies you're getting too are going to be triggering this on top of it. Like, this is a quality card, very, very well designed, and love the theme. Just love it.
Very good. Card is
Yep.
going to be very good.
Yeah, let's talk. It looks like we have a cycle coming. Tell us a little bit about it, Steven.
Curse of Leeches. Enchant player. It's a 2 generic 1 black curse. Enchant player. As this permanent transforms into Curse of Leeches, attach it to a player. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, they lose 1 life and you gain 1 life. And then it has Daybound. Player casts no spells. It flips into Leeching Lurker, a 4/4 lifelink with Nightbound.
That's interesting.
Very interesting card. It's hard to evaluate.
Yeah, this card is. I did not expect the other side to it at all.
I see it again. Can you flip it back over?
It's just a 4/4 lifelink on the other
Hmm.
side. I think it's actually pretty good. I don't know that it's going to be constructed good, but this card in limited seems like totally
limited.
fine.
Obviously, I think the card's really good.
Yeah, it's essentially a 3-mana 4/4 lifelinker, but you have to like pass on
Yeah.
4, but that's fine because you can like play it in like some sort of blue-black deck, let's say, and you just like hold up a counter spell or a kill spell or something on turn 4, and then just flip into a 4/4 lifelink. So I think it seems kind of sweet in limited. I don't think it'll be constructed playable, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm not seeing this as constructive play. I was misreading the front side curse. I was thinking it was going to be triggering multiple times or something, but it's just every upkeep. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. We could go. Tell us a little bit about Gissa. Or Giza,
All right.
whatever the hell his name is.
Yep. Jissa, Glorious Resurrector. 2 generic, 2 black. Legendary creature, human wizard. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. At the beginning of your upkeep, put all creature cards exiled with Gissa Glorious Resurrector onto the battlefield under your control. They gain Decayed. This card seems really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Really sweet. Like this card a lot.
Yeah,
Like
no,
this
this card's
card a
really
lot.
good. I think this card is gonna be super sweet. It's graveyard hate. It's somewhat a graveyard hate, right? Because instead of them going to the graveyard, which is really cool if they're like if they have like decay card, not decay, but what's disturb, is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Disturbed.
Yeah. I think the card's really sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then was that the fourth one? So all right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take over. The ones I got here. We have Graveyard Trespasser, 2 and a black human werewolf. Ward, discard a card. Ward, for those that don't remember, that's a little whenever you cast a spell or have an ability that targets this creature, you got to pay the ward cost. When this Trespasser enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. It has Daybound. So when it transforms, its ward, discard a card still. Enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, because these things are starting to word on enter the battlefield, I need to know, do they like leave the battlefield when they transform?
No.
I believe so.
I didn't think so either, but why? Why does it say when the way? Because it says when it enters the battlefield. It's so weird to me. Why they would word it like that?
I guess you could clone it.
That's why.
Yeah, okay, that
I
makes
guess that would
sense.
be why.
And
Yeah.
then it still has value if you do that. So
Yeah, I was
That
just
would be why they did
wondering.
it. Good catch, Dewey, because I
Mhm.
couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah, because I was like, man, why is it worded like that? Well, this card's cool. I like that it's a little 3-drop human werewolf. Um, it's again a nice little graveyard hate piece that can drain.
Yep.
I think the card's cool. Is it like gonna be? I think it'll be standard playable. It seems fine.
Yeah, it's if nothing else, it'll be a good like sideboard card.
Yep.
Yep.
Agreed. The next card I think is gonna be really standard playable, and this is Jidar Gold Caller of Nephalia.
Yep.
1 in the black human wizard 1/1 legendary. Beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So essentially, it's a good way to bulk up your champion of the perished.
Exactly. Yeah, it's essentially like not a zombie, but it is a zombie.
Exactly. Yeah, I think this card's really good. I think it's gonna be sweet.
Oh, this card's gonna be awesome, dude. I mean,
Oh,
if they don't
yes.
kill this immediately, it's a 1/1 and a 2/2 on turn 2, and yeah, if you let on Champion of the Parish, you've got 5 power in play on
Turn 2.
turn 2 across
Yeah,
3 bodies.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. What? There's that one snake caller that can get a 1/1 death touch every turn. That got an insane amount of play.
Yep.
This obviously isn't making a death touch token every turn, but a 2/2 black zombie is pretty strong.
I
Yep.
agree. Next on the chopping block we have was a Jaren Corrupted Bishop for 2 in a black human cleric for legendary creature for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield or another non-token human you control dies, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 white human creature token. What is that? Pay 2. Target human you control gains lifelink until end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you have exactly 13 life, you may pay 6 mana. If you do, transform it. They love the 13 theme.
Good lord, man.
All right. Oh, Ormondel is back. The Corruptor.
Oh yeah.
It turns into a 6/6 flying trample lifelink, and it has sack another creature draw card. This is funny. It's so funny because on this picture on the one side he looks like this nice little happy little dude, and then on the other side, I'm demon. It's pretty funny to me. This card's funny. I don't know if it's good or not.
Yeah, who
It
knows,
does.
man?
It does make a 1/1, so it's it does get 2 things for 1. Obviously these cards are gonna be good and limited, but I think this
Yeah.
card's gonna be sweet. There's gonna
I
be
do
times you're at 12, you're gonna give your 1/1 lifelink and be like, attack.
Yeah.
This card's again gonna be in that Abzan Huge deck in Historic. It could definitely be sick there. Just randomly giving a huge idiot life link is sweet. When any of your things die, you lose a life and just create more 1/1s.
Mm-hmm.
This card seems really, really annoying for sure.
Yeah, I agree. The card's really cool. Moving along. We have Lord of the Forsaken, 4 and double black creature demon, 6/6 flying trample. Pay a black, sacrifice another creature. Target player mills 3 cards. There you go, Dewey. And then it has pay 1 life, add a colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast a spell from your graveyard. Okay. Did they not learn their lesson with giving us like mana to cast things out of the graveyard? Come on. This card is cool. I think it's going to be more of a limited card than a standard card.
Yeah.
But this card's cool. Very cool card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be pretty impressed if this ends up seeing anything outside of limited play, but
Yeah. Maybe EDH. EDH, but that's...
oh yeah, EDH, but
that's an extension of limited. Let's be real. Oh, but yeah, Dewey, well, I'll let you take over the next 4.
All right, so we have Mask of Reservoir. You have 1 colorless, 2 black. Legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has flying and lifelink. Whenever equipped creature dies, you may pay X life, where X is its power. If you do, draw X cards and equip just 3. Definitely a mask and not Griselbrand, obviously, because there's quite a big drop of power. Um, because it requires a creature to die. I c- hmm. Yeah, it seems fine. I don't know. I don't think there's anything outside limited playable, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
The only way that this would be constructed playable is if you can make the equip 0,
Yeah.
and there are a few ways to do that. And then if you're also like playing like sack effects,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but at face value, it doesn't look great outside of limited. But in limited,
No.
again, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
I felt like it should have had some kind of sack clause or something to trigger it at the very least, but I don't know.
yeah, could be.
Yeah. Uh, Larry, any thoughts?
Nope. I think this is just a limited card.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Next up, we have Slaughter Specialist, one colorless, one black, Vampire Warrior, 3/3. When Slaughter Specialist enters the battlefield, each opponent creates a 1/1 white human creature token. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Slaughter Specialist. I'm a fan.
Yeah, this card's
I'm a,
sweet.
yeah.
that's good.
hmm
Yep.
It's,
Card is very solid.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna outrace everything pretty well. And the white human it's interesting because again some decks you're like, oh, I want to cut this, and if I'm a black aggro deck I'm going against the humans, like I don't want to give them more humans.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think we're all in agreement. It's a pretty good card.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Next up, we have Tainted Adversary, one colorless, one black, 2/3 zombie death touch. Whenever it comes into play, you may pay two colorless and a black any number of times, and when you pay it, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on Tainted Adversary and create twice that many 2/2 black zombies with Decayed. Oh yeah.
Card's sick.
I'm happy at that at 2 mana. I'm happy with that at 5 mana, and I'm happy with that at 8 mana, and so on. So.
Dude, this card is so insane with Aether Vial.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely understand why people are talking about it in modern like
Yeah.
zombies, because like Vial on 1, tick up Vial to 1, put in Champion of the Perished on 2, and then do some other things with your mana. And then on 3, you can cheat this in off Vial and then pay the 3 and get 2/2/2s. So you're just going to have a massive board. You're getting massive advantage off your cards. Yeah, it seems absolutely nuts with Aether Vial. It's probably also definitely playable in Standard too, like you said. It's solid at 2, solid at 5, solid at 8, etc. But yeah, this card with Aether Vial is going to be some hot nonsense.
Man, you're
Uh,
definitely gonna play Phantasmal Image too, then, right? I mean, copy this. You get still do the trigger as well. Do it again.
Probably, yeah, it would probably be not mono black zombies. It'd be like blue black or who knows.
I'm not.
Mana's so
I'm not
good in
convinced
modern.
it was ever gonna be mono black.
Yeah, mana's so good in modern. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be.
It
You
actually
just have
seems
a million.
wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong unless all your cards just happen to be black. But
Right.
yeah, getting to play image with it is pretty sick for sure.
Hmm.
So you'd probably at least do that.
Yeah. I know people I've been seeing this talk about like blue black zombies. I don't. So that's definitely something I could see because
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you want to play Prize Amalgam? Maybe I don't think it's good, but I just like them.
That's fair. Um, that's fair.
Uh. All right, and then the very last card, Meat Hook Massacre. X and double black, legendary enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, each creature gets neg X until the end of turn, and then whenever
Oh, my bad.
whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain one life. Uh, so rude. Um, we've played with sweepers before where it was black, black, X, and those saw play, so I think this will see play, and the ability to recur this in some fashion as well is pretty interesting.
Yep.
This card's really good, I think. Yeah, this card is nice. I like
Yep.
it. I like it a lot. The fact that it lets you gain life off of it too, which is nice. Oh man, this card is just good.
It's another interesting tool with Luris, right? Because it's a 2-mana enchantment.
This is true.
Oh.
In Historic, you can loop this if you'd like. Although it will kill Luris if you do it for 2.
You won't be
it'll-
able to because then that would make it a 4-drop.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You're right. You can play it in Luris decks, but you can't recast
Yeah,
it.
it's only you only recast it for like 0. But if you really ever want to just get it, it won't be that busted with Loris at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you really want to make sure you get those abilities, I guess it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
3. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Steven, you could do 4, and me and Dewey will do the 3s after.
Okay. Bloodthirsty Adversary. 1 generic, 1 red. It's a vampire with haste. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay a 2 generic and a red any number of times. When you pay the cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Then exile up to that many target instant and or sorcery cards of mana value 3 or less from your graveyard and copy them. You may cast any number of copies without paying their mana cost.
Jesus
Seems
Christ.
like a solid card to me.
Holy shit. Oh my god, this card could be so you do it and then up to that many targets or sorcery cards. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that card's sweet, man.
That's very good. Very good for sure.
Yeah, I like
definitely
this card.
Definitely gonna be like a mono red 2-drop in
Yeah.
standard for sure.
Oh yeah, it's a 2/2 with haste. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm in.
This is just such a huge upgrade to like the old kicker we had where we just got the 1/1 counters.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, oh, not good enough. We're gonna give you more, and I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, go ahead on to the next one.
Burn down the house. 2 red and 3 generic. Sorcery. Choose 1. Burn down the house deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Or create 3 1/1 red devil creature tokens with when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. They gain haste until end of turn. This card's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's interesting to me how, like, it feels like the first ability is correct for the cost, but the second one seems really off.
Well, they gave him haste, which probably makes it about right because there was an uncommon from whatever the last format was that dealt with all this stuff. Just original Innistrad, right? I don't know if it was in Innistrad or somewhere else in the block, but there was a 4-mana uncommon, I believe, that was an instant that made 2 1/1 devils that when they died deal 1 damage.
Okay.
So going up a mana, giving them all haste,
Okay.
and then also tacking on the deal 5 probably makes it about right.
I guess. I was remembering what is it, the Boros one, right? Those one red, 1 colorless. I mean, 1 red, 2 colorless, 1 white, and you get 2 1/1s and you anthemed your board or something like that.
Oh, sure. You were thinking about heroic reinforcements.
Yeah, I felt like compared to that, this seems a lot worse. But if it's compared to the other version of a very similar card, then that would make sense.
Yeah, and again, it's modal, so you can't make like
you can't put it on same power.
Yeah, the first mode is like so good that like putting another like insanely good. Yeah, I think it's reasonably costed for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there was a chance that it would have got played with just the first mode by itself. So
this is literally like if a control deck played this as a sweeper, this is like actually a reasonable sweeper to draw in mirrors. You can just cast it for threats.
Yeah,
which is awesome, really sweet.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Being able to have a sweeper that's not a dead card ever is really helpful.
Huge. That's huge. Yeah. And it can kill walkers too. I mean, this is just a really nice card. I like this card a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, killing walkers is awesome, and I think this card's gonna be very good. I'll be curious what the red base well not base but the control decks that are going to be playing red. I'm very curious what those are going to be.
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't even thought about if those are going to be a thing, but I definitely expect them to.
Oh, yep. Me too.
All right, we can move on to the Curse of the Red.
Curse of Shaken Faith. One generic, one red. Or a curse enchant player. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell other than the first spell they cast each turn or copies a spell, Curse of Shaken Faith deals 2 damage to them. It's a very interesting hate curse again, it feels like. Might be playable in sideboards and formats.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't seem very exciting to me.
So, I'm reading this correct. Whenever a champ player casts a spell other than the first spell,
Yeah.
it deals 2 damage. You play this in Legacy on Storm against Storm, they're just dead.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's going to be a really good sideboard card in some formats for
Yep.
sure.
Just for those Storm style decks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a one-sided Eidolon in a way that doesn't have like any restriction on the mana cost.
Yep.
That's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Go ahead and hit the 4th card for us.
Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter. 1 red. Vampire Warrior. 1 generic, 1 red. Discard a card. Sacrifice a vampire. Draw 2 cards. Activate only if an opponent lost life this turn and is a 1 mana 2/1. This card is going to be solid at the face value of just being a 1 mana 2/1. Everything else is going to be gravy. The discard, sack a vampire, draw 2 is probably going to be sick. In some instances, we've already seen the other good red aggressive creature is Bloodthirsty Adversary, which is a vampire. So that's already like 8 vampires you'll get to play in your red aggro deck right there. And this wasn't even the set that's focused on vampires, is it?
I don't think so.
No.
Because isn't the next one supposed to be very vampire heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the one that's all human, werewolves, day, night focus.
Yeah, so what we're probably going to see is these cards are not actually... They might be close to good enough in Standard right now, but we're probably going to see them be nuts in, like, when the next set comes out in Standard at that point, when they get all their friends to come join the party. Kind of like how Diregraph Colossus and... what was the 2-drop zombie?
Relentless Dead.
Yeah, Relentless Dead. Those were like not playable for a very long time either, and then they gave them more toys, and they ended up being like nuts.
They won a Pro Tour. That's how nuts they were.
Exactly. So these cards are already pretty solid, but I expect them to get even better as the card pool expands. But at face value, they're already Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter and Bloodthirsty Adversary are gonna be very critical to a red aggressive deck in Standard, no question.
Yep, I agree. I'm gonna be playing this card a little bit differently than you guys are. I was actually looking at trying this over some stuff like over Merchant of Veils and Burning Inquiries and Dredge to see if it's any good. I don't think it's gonna be good enough, but I'm definitely gonna try it.
Yeah.
Only because it has that last clause at the very end of it.
Yep.
Yeah, the restriction on that makes it so like just there's the chances you're not gonna be able to. It's just gonna sit there for you, and I think that's too much of a hazard.
Yeah, and people were like, "Well, if you hit Creeping Chills," I was like, "Yeah, but then this just becomes a win more card and not a setup card."
Yeah.
I want cards that's setting up for me to do my thing. I'm gonna try it. I am gonna try it at least.
Yeah, you have to. You have to give it the college try, right?
Yeah, but I don't expect it to be able to like take those slots. But like I said, we'll see. It'll be interesting when that time comes.
Right.
I'll kick off these next 3, and we have Geist Flame Reservoir. It's an artifact. Whenever you cast an instant source spell, put a charge counter. 1 in a red tap, remove any number of charge counters from the reservoir. It deals that much damage to any target. 1 in the red tap, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. This is a good Magic card. This is a nice card. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. What do you think, Dewey?
Yeah, it's we've had some things like this before, right? Where you get like some triggers on it, and then you get to get value from it. I like that you can exile and basically draw the card in a sense. because that was my issue with some of these other effects that you've got, where it basically, if you don't get to cast a bunch of stuff, you're not doing anything. Here, it actually says, "Hey, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna give you the engine to keep it going." So,
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to make it more playable
mhm.
by
Yep.
giving it that clause. I don't know if I don't know how constructed playable it'll end up being. It's still like pretty slow and a lot of mana investment, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a sweet limited card again. And it could maybe be sideboard playable for sure in standard.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Light up the night, not to be mistaken with light up the stage. X and a red sorcery. Light up the night deals X damage to any target. It deals X+1 damage instead if that target is a creature or planeswalker. Flashback for 3 and a red. Remove X loyalty counters from among planeswalkers you control. If you cast a spell this way, X can't be 0. So essentially, you have to remove counters from planeswalker to play this card out your graveyard.
Mhm.
The card's cool. It's probably I don't know what their clause for doing that. Probably just again they it looked like they worked hard to balance this set. I think they are learning from their mistakes. I give them credit for that. I
Right.
think this card's a fine, nice little fireball. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, well, the red devil from the red devil planeswalker is probably going to be standard playable moving
Mhm.
forward. So this might go really well with the red walker. I don't remember its name at all. I don't even is it in I think it's in the dungeons set, right? It's in Ventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, I think so. I don't
Yeah, 'cause
remember.
I think we saw it at pre-release.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah,
And
I
then
just don't
when we did that
remember.
two-headed giant thing, I think someone had it in their deck if I remember right. But um, so it's like it's pretty reasonable just on the front side. The fact that it does X+1, so you can just 1 mana, 1 damage to, like you said, just a solid fireball. And then if you get to flash it back, getting some extra value is nice too.
Mhm.
But I think it's very possible a playable card for sure.
Yep, that's where I'm at with it. And then Moonveil Regent is 3 and a red, 4/4 flying dragon. Whenever you cast a spell, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw a card for each of that spell's colors.
Okay.
Okay, that's interesting. When it dies, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. I've heard people talk about playing this in like 4-color Omnath and stuff. Like in
Okay.
Modern and stuff.
Yeah.
They don't think it's gonna be good enough for Niv, mainly because it's like a non-hit and stuff, and you don't want to really be doing all that.
Yeah.
But in like Omnath and Modern stuff, this card could be very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. But my issue is that, it's one of those things that it comes down and you're gonna need to put a little bit of work into it. And I'd almost always rather have something that does something
Oh,
immediately. But
my
Yeah.
apologies. I said Modern. I meant to say Pioneer.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah, my apologies. I said
Pioneer makes much more
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Power level decreases significantly.
Yes. My apologies, I
All right.
did say the wrong format. But yeah, I think the
Yeah.
card would be good there. It's probably going to be a fine standard card. It's a 4/4
Mhm.
flyer. The card's fine. I don't think it's going to get played in, it might get some. I think it's just not strong enough for Historic, because Historic's kind of like strong. The power level's above Pioneer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with this recent injection.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
exactly. But, alright, kick us off with the last 3 red cards.
All right, so we got Reckless Stormseeker. It's 2 colorless, a red, and 2/3 human werewolf. At the beginning of your combat, target creature gets +1/+0 and haste until the end of the turn, and it has Daybound.
Let me flip this for you.
Stormcharge Slasher, 3/4 werewolf. At the beginning of your combat, target creature gets +2/+0, trample, and haste. I think a green-red human werewolf deck is very reasonable, very aggressive. I mean, these cards are pretty solid. And you're coming down, you're smashing red away for what, 3, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
basic can give itself haste and just smash in. Um, and then being able to flip and then just hit even harder. So
Yeah, let's say you don't have a creature to actually get in there to get haste for that turn. You're like,
Mhm.
next turn when you do play the creature, it's probably going to be something that's going to get trample and haste now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And is it another creature? Nope, just you
Yeah.
can target yourself.
Yeah, you can definitely target itself. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this card is nuts. This card
Hmm.
is going to be really good. It doesn't even need to be in a Werewolf deck. This card is just good.
Yeah, I mean, this could just slot right into the red
Oh
vampires
yeah, it's
aggressive deck. Like,
literally
you're happy with that.
we've got 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop already.
Mhm.
Boom, boom, boom. This is exactly what you want to see if you're a mono red player. You got a great 1-drop, you've got a great 2-drop, you've got a great 3-drop. We've got a lot of tools, and we're only going to get more of them as new sets come out. But these are some big game cards for mono
Yep.
red. 2 of them have haste. It's exactly what you want out of your threats. Just come down and attack immediately. And then every creature you play on the following turns with Stormseeker are also going to have haste
Yep.
because of his ability. So literally, he basically gives every creature that you play.
It's coming down and smashing.
Afterwards is going to have haste.
Yep.
Super good. This is a great card. This card is big game. This might be the best one we've seen so far for red.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that I'm so excited by a 2-power 1-drop, but this card is insane.
It's crazy to me because like I'm looking at this card and I'm not like, oh, this is gonna break the format or anything, but I'm like, this is a really, really good card. It's well made and it's going to push these aggressive decks in the way that you want.
Yeah.
Right? But not in a way that's gonna make it like, oh, if you're not playing red, you're gonna lose the format, basically. So
Right.
Yep.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about this broken card.
Smoldering Egg, 1 colorless, 1 red, 0/4 Dragon Egg Defender. When you cast an instant or sorcery, put a number of Ember counters on Smoldering Egg equal to the amount of mana amount of mana to cast that spell. Then, if Smoldering Egg has 7 or more Ember counters, you can remove them and transform into
Dun dun dun.
Ashmouth Dragon, 4/4 Flying Dragon. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, deal 2 damage to any target. Seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. A lot of work to flip this bad boy.
So I haven't looked at any of the spoilers. So I was expecting a 7/7 dragon, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It seems like a little too much for me. To be fair, it could be good in Phoenix. I don't know. Like, it's possible, but I don't think it's better than Sprite Dragon.
No.
Yeah. I don't think it's very good in Standard.
No, I don't think it's a very good
Hell,
card
it's
at
going to be
all.
hard to be playing in Limited.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, this is just not a very good card at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll
last
eat my
red card.
I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, same,
this
but
is not
I think
good.
I'm on the same boat with you.
it's the problem for me is just the 7. If it was lower counters, it'd be very reasonable, obviously, right? Like Thing in the Ice was 4, and you get
Yeah.
to flip it into a 7/8 that could just smash.
Yeah.
So. The last card, Sunstreak Phoenix, 2 colorless, 2 red, 4/2 Phoenix Flying. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Sunstreak Phoenix enters the battlefield. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, you may pay 1 colorless, 1 red. If you do, return Sunstreak Phoenix from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
This explains when they were saying earlier, like, if it didn't get transformed this way.
I like this card. The recursion strong, 4/2 power flying. It's gonna get in there. You know, that's just quality, you know, that you're looking for when you're in a red aggressive deck and you want that constant threat being pushed from the graveyard. They have to deal with it and you're smashing in, so.
And this fits what you were talking about earlier, like doing like a little red green aggressive like werewolf kind of thing.
Yeah, there's gonna be 1 or 2 red green shells out there, and you know, we'll see how they play out and which ones will be better, but
Agreed.
Funny enough, this card works also insanely well with Reckless Stormseeker. It's
Mhm.
a 5/2 flying haste the turn after you play Stormseeker, and then you can, you know, flip Stormseeker later to get the Phoenix back. Yeah, a lot of now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the red aggro deck. So yeah,
Yep.
just a lot of good options going on.
And man, you get to flip it, pay the cost, bring it back. You can't swing with it because the Phoenix will be tapped.
Yeah, they
but-
made sure to not make that too ridiculous.
No, I think the card's gonna be really good. I think that's just a good Magic card.
It is. Yeah.
Steven, do the first 4 green.
All right, Augur of Autumn. 1 generic, 2 green, human druid. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from the top of your library. Colvin. As long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library, and it's a 2/3. It seems pretty solid to me. Courser of Krufix type card that gets even better if you can set up the power thing. So yeah, it seems quite solid. And it's also cool that you don't have to reveal the top card. Only you know it, not your opponent, which is sweet for information purposes.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. This is only the second Coven card we've seen, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yep. I think the Coven stuff is in probably the other commons and uncommons, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
It would make sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, this
All
card's
right.
definitely playable.
Yeah, no, I think that card will be pretty good. Briarbridge Tracker, I also think this one is going to be quite good.
Oh, goodness.
Two generic, 1 green. It's a human scout, vigilance. When it
Mhm.
enters the battlefield, investigate, which means you create a colorless clue artifact token with 2, sacrifice this, draw a card. And as long as you control a token, Tracker gets +2/+0. So it's basically a 3-mana 4. And when you pop the clue, it could become a 2/3 again, also has vigilance. But alongside other tokens, it'll keep the power, and you don't have to pop that clue either. So it's essentially just a 3-mana 4/3 vigilant that puts a card in the bank. This card is really good. I think this
Yep.
card is very, very strong. Yeah, I'm very. This will potentially be a historic human card. Definitely could be a standard human card. Just a strong card.
Yeah,
I
green
mean,
white humans isn't unrealistic by any stretch.
Not
Yeah.
at all. Not
In the
at all.
mono green Stompy deck that we were playing around with, this is gonna love it. I mean, 4 power right away, and then you're the token aspect of this, you're creating that token with that class anyway.
Yeah.
So you're getting a 2/2 wolf from there. So then you can just pop that right off. So this is just
Yeah,
gonna make.
this will be a pretty good Lovestruck Beast replacement for sure. I mean, it's going to give you that value later with the clue. It's a very powerful creature to play alongside the wolf that draws cards when you attack.
Yep.
6 or more power. Like you said, Ranger class creates tokens, so that token will buff this creature up.
Yep.
This card's just very good. This is just absolutely going to be a standard player. There's no question about it. And it's probably going to be playable in a few different decks. It's just a very good card. Very, very good. We'll move on to the next green one. Consuming Blob, 3 generic, 2 green. It is a ooze. Its power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. At the beginning of your end step, create a green ooze creature token with this creature's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. So again, with the balancing thing, they could have said make a copy of Consuming Blob, but they didn't do that because had they done that, it just would have kept multiplying, which would have been insane. But it essentially makes copies of itself. But it doesn't make literal copies of itself. It just makes copies of the power and toughness, not the actual Consuming Blob itself.
Yeah.
It will probably be a pretty strong limited card. I don't see this card being good and constructed, really. But I do think it's a solid limited card, and it's a cool card. I just don't think it's quite good enough for constructed.
Yeah, the format would have to slow down quite a bit, and I don't see that happening for it to get that play.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
Okay, cool. And the next one here, Primal Adversary, 2 generic, 1 green. Wolf Trample. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Then up to that many target lands you control become 3/3 wolf creatures with haste that are still lands, and it's a 4/3. Again, seems very good in green aggressive decks. A good mana sink late, a good creature on the curve at 3 mana. And if we have any sort of like wolf synergies, which I assume we will, it'll go well with that too. But this is a solid card again. This set's looking really sweet so far. There are tons of cards that I want to play, not only in standard but in historic too. So
Yep. Next is Sereth, the Viper's Fang, 2 in double green, 3/4 human warlock legendary creature. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch, and other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. 1 in tap, untap another target creature or land you control. So it has a nice little ability to give your guys Hexproof for when they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think the card's really good. Is it good enough at 4 mana to be played in Standard? I think it'll be fine. Historic, I don't think so. I think it might be a little too slow, but I think that's
Yeah.
just because the power level's too big.
Right. I think it might be too slow for the main deck too, for these decks, if these green red stompy decks.
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
this is a green-red stompy. I think this is more
no.
like when there's typically mono green sometimes has to go slower post board,
That's where I
and
see
this
this
is
coming in.
and this is where you want it. And I'm like, hey, they're gonna be bringing a lot of removal in. I'm gonna have this as an answer to that.
Right. Yep.
Storm the Festival, 3 generic, 3 and then triple green, so 6 mana total. Sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put 2 permanent cards with mana value 5 or less from them onto the battlefield. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. It has flashback for 7 and 3 green, so 10 mana total. Okay, card's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So is it each permit can be 5 or less?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm kind of mad that this card, when you flash it back, you still only do the top 5 and get 2, but the blue one, you got to dig deeper.
Yeah, the blue one's busted, dude. I mean, the
So,
blue one just literally
what?
looks really busted. I don't. I agree with Larry. That card's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like actual nuts.
It, it
Yeah,
is.
I don't understand why this should have done that. I mean,
Yeah. It should have been just
it
as.
must be for balancing purposes, but honestly, the blue one just seems insane. Like, yeah, I don't really get it. For 10 mana, like, give me a break. We should get more.
Man, I better get to either give me top 5 and I get 10
It should be like
mana.
top 8 or top 9, right?
Yeah.
Like, this one is 6 mana for 5, so like if I'm spending 10 mana, I should get either one less again compounded to the one less before, or just one less in general. So
Yeah.
either top 8 or top 9, and then mana value 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really get that. But either way, it seems like a pretty powerful effect.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you hit. Obviously, if you don't hit, then it's kind of weak.
And that's my issue. Why the flashback really should have just been digging
yeah,
deeper.
the flashback should be better than it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just not good work.
But it might see play. Very well might see play here.
Yep. And the last one I'm going to cover is Tovolar's Huntmaster, 4 and double green, 6 total, creature, human werewolf, 6/6. And as a battlefield, create 2/2/2 green wolf creature tokens as daybound. So when it becomes night, when it enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2/2/2 green wolf creature tokens. Activate ability of 2 and double green. Another target wolf or werewolf you control fights a target creature you don't control, and it is a 7/7 with Nightbound. Card's cool. How much was it at the beginning of 6? That's a little expensive.
Yeah.
Low expensive. It is a 6/6, but I don't think it's gonna be. I think it might be a little too pricey for constructed.
Really?
Yeah, it just seems a little pricey.
Yeah.
I'm just basing on the other stuff that I remember that we already have.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I
like,
can see that.
yeah, in green red, do I really want to be playing 6 drops?
I don't think this is going in the green red deck. This is going in that green blue ramp deck that's popping up in Standard 2022 right now.
Okay, I don't know anything about Standard 2022. Keep in mind, so I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a green blue ramp deck. It's the Simic ramp deck. I like it. I played it last night against one of my friends. And you're ramping into some pretty relevant creatures, which was really cool. Like the snake that you want to play.
Yeah.
And then you're taking extra turns, and then you're digging harder as well. So
I think this card definitely looks constructed playable, but yeah, like Lear, it's too slow. It's not an aggro card. This is not an aggro card. It's either but it's a very solid like mid-range top end card.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that mid-range is fine to play.
Yeah.
A ramp deck is super into something like this.
Mhm.
But I do think it's a pretty sweet top end finisher in a mid range deck potentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That version's like using like the Quandrix Cultivator and Eureka Moments and Innkeeper to ramp.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I have to check that out for sure.
Mhm.
We'll go ahead and move it along so we can make sure we can get through all of these. Go ahead and kick us off on the last reading, Dewey.
So Unnatural Growth, one colorless, 4 green enchantment at the beginning of each combat. Double the power and toughness of each creature you control until the end of turn. Um, Seems fine. I don't like it. If you get play, if this sees play, it's gonna be like a one of. I feel like that's that you kind of drop this, and if you already have a really good board, you're gonna smash in and just win. But I hate these kind of cards in aggressive decks too. That you play it, and if you don't have a board, you just lose.
Yep.
Like you just wasted a draw for no reason. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're bad top decks. They don't do
Mhm.
anything really. This like uh, these cards like they're cool. You could play it as a one of, but I feel like it's just like it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, think a better EDH card than it's gonna be with a constructed card.
hmm
Yeah.
Next we have Willowgeist, 1 green, 1/1 Tree Folk Spirit Trample. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on Willowgeist. When Willowgeist dies, you gain life equal to its power.
Card could be really good if it has the right setup.
Yeah, I'm very interested in where it goes. I don't know what shell it's in, but pretty interested.
Yep.
Yep. And hit
You're
us
gonna
with that big boy.
have to zoom in on that. There's a lot of text on that one for me.
Yeah.
I got you. Is that better?
All right. Yep, much better. All right, so we have the final card, Ren and 7, 3 green, 2 green, 3 colorless, 5 loyalty when it comes into play. The +1s reveal the top 4 cards, put all lands revealed this way into your hand and the rest into the graveyard. 0 mana, put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. -3, create a green tree folk token with the reach. This creature's power and toughness equals the number of lands you control. And -8, return all permanents from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem with no maximum hand size. I think they were talking a little bit about this card getting played in like lands. For Legacy as like a one of.
Really.
That's interesting.
But I don't know. I don't like the 0 mana ability by the time you get the 5 mana. The 0 mana effect is not gonna have any text really, like kind of pointless.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
just
really just that, yeah, it's just all about that +1
or the
and then the
-3.
-8. So
Yeah.
I don't even think the -3 is all that great,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't it looked very lackluster whenever I looked at it, but
Mhm.
that's just my face value perspective. Take it as you may, right?
Right.
Okay, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 23 of these multicolored ones.
Mhm.
Got a good amount. So Steven, go ahead and start. I'll tell you when we'll take over.
Okay. Cool. Denic Pious Apprentice. 1 white, 1 blue. It's a legendary creature, human soldier. Lifelink. Cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities, and it has Disturb for 2 generic 1 white, 1 blue. And its flip is a 3/2 flyer, Denic Pious Apparition. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into graveyards from anywhere, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. If Denic Pious Apprentice or Apparition would be put into graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. It's a cool card. It could maybe be main deckable as like a copy if there's um, like a good blue white like creature deck. It could be a pretty cool sideboard tool, and that's pretty much what I expect out of this card.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I'm about. All right,
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything outside of that.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention too that I didn't mention before about Ren and 7, I think in standard the -3 will be really interesting. I think Larry and I have talked about this, how the -3 is super good with Asika's Chariots. So that'll be something to see if that's a thing that happens moving forward. Because Asika's Chariot ended up being one of the better cards in this current standard format. It was super good.
Very
So
true.
I don't expect that card to get any worse. And with Ren and 7, you make a token, then you crew up Asika's Chariot, attack, and then clone the token. So you get like 2 5/5.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So you get 2 huge reach creatures, which is kind of hot, especially in a format where Goldspan Dragon is probably going to be really popular. But onto the next blue-white card. I just wanted to make that note because I didn't really say anything about Ren and 7 when we talked about it a second ago. Hallowed Respite. 1 white, 1 blue. Sorcery. Exile target non-legendary creature. Then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it entered under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Otherwise, tap it. And then this also has flashback for a generic, a white, and a blue. This card is awesome. This is a lot like Momentary Blink.
Yeah.
This card is sick. Having a card like this in Standard will be really cool. If you want to try to do some like ETB type stuff, enter the battlefield triggers. This is exactly the kind of card you want to see. But yeah, this card is really very, very similar to Momentary Blink, except it has to do it to a non-legendary creature. But this is a good card. This is going to be a good card, no question.
Well, this has a huge upgrade too, right? On the fact
counter.
that the counter, and you don't have to hit your own creature.
Yep.
You can hit any creature, so you can use this defensively as well when necessary.
You can kill tokens with it, right?
Yeah, I like this card a lot.
Yeah, it's a very, very good card. Oh, it's a sorcery.
It's a
sorcery.
Yeah. Still, great card.
I forgot that it was a sorcery. Sorry.
Not nearly as good, obviously, without the instant.
It feels like an instant for what it does. Usually that kind of thing is an instant.
Maybe that's why they were able to do so much.
They probably made it a sorcery because of all the text that is on it.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
Still probably playable, but it's a lot less playable at sorcery speed. Nonetheless, a very cool card. The next one we're going to look at here is Teferi, who slows the sunset. 2 generic, 1 white, 1 blue. Legendary Planeswalker Teferi. Choose up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target land. Untap the chosen permanents you control. Tap the chosen permanents you don't control. You gain 2 life. Okay, interesting. -2. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. -7, you get an emblem with untap all permanents you control during each opponent's untap step, and you draw a card during each opponent's draw step, and it starts with 4 loyalty. Okay. The +1 is interesting. You can tap your opponent's things or untap your things of the chosen type, artifact, creature, land. And then it's -2 is some card advantage. You can look at the top 3, put 1 of them into your hand. Press OK, so it's pretty much an anticipate. The -2 is an anticipate. And then obviously the ultimate is great if you can get there. It's really going to come down to, can a deck actually make the +1 good here? The +1 seems kind of medium to me, but maybe I could be missing something.
No, I'm looking at that. I'm thinking the same exact thing.
+1 seems pretty medium.
Uh-huh.
The rest of it is solid. So the real question is, can a deck make the +1 worth it, and can they protect this card reasonably and get it to an ultimate? Because if it ultimates, it is insane. The ultimate is absolutely nuts. Getting to draw and then just untapping on all your opponent's untap steps is crazy. So yeah, that might be. It could definitely be a sideboard card. Again, it's kind of one of those cards where if you're playing against a deck that's not pressuring you, like against a mid-range pile or against a control deck, maybe it would be good enough if you think you can roll up to the ult. But ultimately, I don't think this card's great. I think it's fine. What do you guys think on this one?
Yeah, I mean, we had some discussions going on with this card in some of our Discord chat, but I don't know. I'm not a fan. When a walker can't protect itself, like I expect that +1 nowadays to do something relevant to protect itself.
Yeah.
But like that effect is something that I would want in a deck that I want to like tap things down, go a little bit aggressive, or do some shenanigans, and that's just not what I think of when I think of Teferi. Obviously, they might want to be pushing him in a different direction. The -2, I like the -2. That fits correct with what I expect out of a card like this. Same with the -7, but yeah, like you were saying, it's just a matter of a deck can find relevance with that +1. But I think that +1 is so bad
Yeah, the
that
+1 just doesn't seem good.
I
It's
wish it was a sleep. I wish it was a sleep effect, being something like that.
yeah, I like that, but obviously not all three because that would be
Hmm.
degenerate as heck.
Yep.
Um,
No,
but
just a
maybe
one.
just like one permanent, like freeze
Yep.
a permanent or something. Yeah, I agree. The +1 seems very weak. The others are solid, but the plus
Yep.
one's so bad and probably so irrelevant that this card won't be good enough. But it is possible again that I'm just missing something. Um, and maybe protecting it is not actually that hard. Maybe its plus is better than it looks, and maybe it'll just end up being great. We'll
Right.
see what happens, but it doesn't look amazing at face value to me.
Right.
I'll agree. I think this Teferi is very lackluster. It's not what we really expect when we're playing a Teferi card. And it probably could just be the placement. It just feels so odd about Teferi in the Innistrad set.
Yeah,
It feels like it was like a marketing ploy then didn't work out well because it's just not that very, it's not very appealing. And
yeah.
I could be wrong. It could end up being super sweet, but on face value, I say no.
Okay, cool. I'm going to move on to the next
Yep.
one. Ludovic Necrogenius, 1 blue, 1 black, legendary creature, human wizard. Whenever Ludovic Necrogenius enters the battlefield or attacks, mill a card. You may pay X, blue, black, exile X creature cards from your graveyard, transform Ludovic's. Ludovic X can't be 0, activate only as a sorcery. The other side is a 4/4 Oligog Ludovic's Hubris, legendary creature zombie. As this creature transforms into Oligog Ludovic's Hubris, it becomes a copy of a creature card exiled with it, except its name is Olag Ludovic's Hubris. It's 4/4 and it's a legendary blue and black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on Oligog equal to the number of creature cards exiled with it. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of text on this card. So it seems probably not constructed playable to me. It's a lot of mana for that sink.
Yeah, you have to at least pay. You're looking at a 2/3 for 2 that you have to then
Pay at least
pay
5.
at least 5 to flip it. It becomes something. I could I could see it being a thing, but the build around that you have to do for it being reliant on having, I don't know. There's just other cooler mill effects that we've
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be constructed playable. It's a very interesting card, though. But I don't think so. Cool card though.
It screams EDH to me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. On to the next one. Siphon Insight, blue-black, instant. Look at the top 2 cards of target opponent's library. Exile one of them face down and put the other on the bottom of that library. You may look at and play the exiled card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. This also has flashback for a generic, a blue, and a black. This card is awesome.
Yep.
It is like a instant speed Gonti-esque card, kind of, but you can play lands off this because it says play them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play your opponent's lands. It has flashback, so it's like kind of reminiscent of Think Twice in a way too. But yeah, this card's really cool. This is a really sweet card. You can use it to hit land drops if you want to hit land drops. You can use it to cast spells if you want to play spells. I think this card's going to be good. This is a strong Magic card right here.
I think this is going to be a format all-star in multiple formats.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think this is going to be playable in more than just standard for sure.
Yeah, we
This
spoke about it
seems-
already. I think this card
Yeah.
is sick.
Yeah, this card is really neat.
I'm curious if this. I can see it being in every format for sure, but the one that I'm very interested in is if it breaks into Legacy, like the fact that it's 2 mana.
Oh, I 100% expect this to be in
so-
Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I expect Soul Tide decks to be playing this card.
Oh yeah.
Like Soul Tide Delver and things like that. It's a good
Yeah.
way because right now, this card kind of gives you what, when Soul Tide, because you don't have that blue-red card. What's the name of the card? Yeah, I can't even think of the name.
Expressive Iteration.
Yeah,
You're thinking
Expressive Iteration.
Iteration.
Obviously, this ain't as good as Expressive Iteration, but this card, this is gonna be able to fit that slot.
It also lets you cast your opponent's Expressive Iteration.
Yeah, so this to me this might be better in Legacy than Expressive Iteration.
It's
'cause
possible.
an
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
the
I
fact that
definitely
it's an
think it
instant,
could
you
be.
can play their stuff, and then you can flash it back is pretty high value.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Larry. I don't think it's going to. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, I don't think it will be better than Expressive Iteration, but it's on par with Expressive Iteration. It's a very strong card, and it's going to see a lot of play. It's going to see a lot of play in a lot of formats. Very good card. Very good card. That's really all you can even say about it. This card is just very strong.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Should I keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
All right. Florian, Voldarin Scion, 1 generic, 1 black, 1 red, legendary creature, vampire noble. First strike. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, it's going to be very important in this card, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the total amount of life your opponent's lost this turn. Exile one of those cards and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may play the exiled card this turn. It's a 3/3. This card also seems really good. In like some sort of like aggressive shell, it's going to be very strong. The turn you play it, you're not going to get much value off it, but every turn after the turn you play it, if you're doing some amount of damage, which you probably are in an aggressive shell, and he's able to attack quite well, being a 3/3 first strike. Let's say you deal 2 damage, getting to look at the top 2 cards post combat and getting to pick one of those cards and play it until end of turn, and it says play. Yeah, so you can play lands off this too. This card's very good.
Yep.
I expect this card to probably see some play somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yep. And do this last one on this page.
Okay. Wake to Slaughter, 3 generic, 1 black, 1 red. Love the art on this card, by the way. The art on this card is really cool. Choose up to 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. An opponent chooses one of them. Return that card to your hand. Return the other to the battlefield under your control. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. And this has flashback for 4 generic, 1 black, 1 red. Return that card to your hand. Return the other to the battlefield. Okay. This card's probably pretty good, honestly. There are some cool things we can probably do with this card. I don't know. I don't know where it will fit, but there's definitely some possibility to make this kind of nasty. If you play like some sort of reanimator style deck, because if both creatures are just busted bombs that you pick, and they don't have to have different names either, by the way. So if you just have like 2 bombs that do something crazy when they enter, this could be really good. I think this card, I'm gonna say, could be playable. It's just really gonna depend on what the setup tools are to make it good. But this has potential to be very strong.
Yep. I'll agree 100%. It definitely does have potential.
Yeah, I see this card being something that people are going to do some build around with and see if it's going to be there. So.
Yep. I'm going to take over and I'm going to talk about these next ones. We have Arlen the Pax Hope, Planeswalker, 2 red and a green 4-drop. It's an Arlen Planeswalker, so it's going to have the Daybound ability, so it's going to be doing some transforming, similar to how Arlen did previously in the Innistrad sets. It's +1 until next turn. You may cast a creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional counter. Neg 3, it creates two 2/2 green wolf creature tokens for loyalty to start, so it can neg immediately. When it becomes night, its +2 is add a red and a green. As an additional ability in 0, where until end of turn it becomes a 5/5 werewolf creature with trample, indestructible, and haste. Okay. Pretty intense. But
Yeah.
I feel ya. Let's go. I think the Ireland's actually pretty sweet.
This card's very good.
Yeah,
It's really good. I like this card a lot.
Yeah,
This
I do
is
too.
so much better than old Arlen. They
I was
finally
just
made
thinking
Arlen
that.
like actually legit.
Actually
this
playable?
This is a really, really strong walker, man. Play this on 4, make 2/2/2s. Next turn, untap, plus it. Your things have flash. Don't do anything. Flip it, and then you get to flash your things in. Now, would they still get a +1/+1 counter, right? Even if the Arlen flipped?
Yeah, because it's an ability that's existing now.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So yeah, you play it, you make some 2/2s, then you untap, you plus it, you flip it. Now it's just going to be either a great mana accelerant that boosts its loyalty very well, or it's just going to be like a Gideon-esque walker that just becomes a disgusting creature that just pounds away at your opponent. Not only is it indestructible, it also has haste and trample. I mean, this is a good planeswalker, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the better ones I've seen for green red in quite some time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
this
no, I
card
think
is
that's
nice.
actually quite good.
Yes.
Next we have Dire Strain Rampage, 1 red and a green sorcery. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. If a land was destroyed, displays control may search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle. Otherwise, this control may search your library for a basic land card, put on a battlefield, tapped, and shuffle. And that's flash strike for 3 red and a green. It's pretty it's a nice little artifact and enchantment removal, but you also can just destroy your own land if you really want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you destroy your land and then you get 2 basic lands.
Yeah, so then it's like mana ramp kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
it's an interesting card. Nice little it's just a nice little gruel piece to have enchantment artifact removal. And the little
Yeah.
downside to doing it is you give them a land. That's about the gist of it. It is a sorcery. I'd be more inclined if it was instant, but instant speed on land destruction probably ain't good for anybody.
Nope.
But would it really be that bad when you're actually getting a basic land to put it back on the battlefield though, and just but they
It's
are
tapped.
untapped. That is brutal. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it then. I don't really have anything else I want to say about this card.
Yeah, I don't know if there are going to be other disenchant effects in red green, but I would probably just play those if those are options. This seems like a pretty big downside.
Yeah, 2 basic lands is kind of.
Well, it's only 2 basics if you blow up.
Oh, if you blow up land.
One,
Yeah.
but ramping your opponent
Is
for
never a good
for
idea.
a 3-mana it's a 3-mana sorcery. Like if it were 1-mana instant or something, sure, but it's a 3. Like that's a steep cost for
It is.
for a disenchant, man. Like 3 mana and then also ramping your opponent. We don't even get a body out of this card. Like
Mhm.
compare this card to Reclamation Sage or Knight of Autumn.
Yeah.
Like just so much worse at doing that specific thing, disenchanting. So if there are other disenchant effects, let's please play those.
Yep.
It's cool that it can blow up a land, but then it ramps them there too.
Yep.
So it's
No
just
matter what.
this card's awkward to me. This card feels underpowered, but with how powerful Arlen was, I'm fine.
Yep, I agree. Next is Tovolar Dire Overload, 1 red and a green legendary creature, human werewolf. It's a 3/3. Whenever a wolf or werewolf control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Beginning your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves and or werewolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of human werewolves you control. The night side says, whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. X red green, target wolf or werewolf you control gets +X +0 and gains trample until end of turn. It is a 4/4. Just a nice little solid little 3-drop for red green, like to do the aggressive. You can do it in the wolf synergy. You can just do it in a nice little red green synergy. It's pretty cool in the wolf because it gives you a way to draw cards. Because there's a few different ways you can give cards trample and stuff. So it's definitely not unrealistic to pull that off.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's every wolf or werewolf will get that trigger too, which is nice. Yep.
Yeah, I think that card's going to see a lot of play.
This card's insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Card's good.
A quality creature, draw engine, and then the trample effect, being able to push through and kill off someone.
We already have Rangers class for Wolf, and then we have this, and then we have Arlen, which makes 2 wolves. And if this triggers for every single one, if this is just literally an Edric for wolves, that's like insane. Absolutely nuts. And then the flip side of it, being able to Kessig Wolf run things is insane as well. Like, this is a good card too.
Oh yeah.
This and Arlen were some nice. I enjoy them giving Grohl some sweet cards.
I'll agree. Moving it along, we have Catilda, Dawn Heart Prime, green and a white. Legendary creature, human warlock, 1/1 protection from werewolves. Human creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color of the creature's colors. 4 green, white tap, put a +1 counter on each creature you control.
Is that good enough for modern humans? That's like a one-off?
Because
you basically you're getting an anthem effect pretty easily.
This is a really good card.
Yeah.
Another really good card. This could be playable in historic humans as well, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. Turning every creature into like a mana. It's kind of like a mana wept sliver.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. Yeah, this card's great.
I mean, going into turn 3, you're gonna have 6 mana.
Yeah, this card's super good.
Wow.
Yeah, card is definitely looks playable. Next we have Rite of Harmony, which is again a green-white. This one time it's an instant. Whenever a creature enchantment enters battlefield under your control this turn, draw a card, and has flashback for 2 green and a white. What is that card? Glimpse? Is that the name of the card that's in Legacy? Yeah, that's essentially what this is.
Mm-hmm.
It's Glimpse, but it also has like Enchantress attached to it as well.
Yeah.
The card's really good. I like the card.
Yeah.
Don't know where it's going to be, but I definitely seeing it getting played somewhere.
Yep.
To keep it moving along, we have Sigarda, Champion of Light, 1 generic green and double white. Legendary creature, Angel, 4/4 flying, trample. Humans you control get +1/+1. Coven, when it attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, look at the top 5 cards. You reveal a human creature card from them, put them in your hand, put the rest on the bottom in a random order. This is a good card. This is why, if we're going to do like humans, you mentioned Band Party's going to be a thing that we could do. This is just a good card.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a really good card. Like, and honestly, you could just be like, if you want to go blue-white humans or blue-black or white-black humans, and you could easily just make the green the splash if you needed to. Like, there's so many things you could do with this card. I like it a lot.
I mean, and it's just a slot really well into the Abzan human stack that we're dealing with nowadays too.
Yeah, I think that card's just good. Can't Stay Away. It is white and a black sorcery. Return target creature card, mana value 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield gains. If this creature would die, exile instead. Flashback 3 white and a black. I love that it's cats on there, and because this would have been sweet to bring your Lurrus back.
Oh yeah, that's funny as heck, actually.
Oh,
this might actually see play in Lurrus decks in historic. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a cool little card, maybe for auras. Actually,
yeah.
Return every threat in your deck back to play. And it has flashback. So for those games when you draw a million lands, you still get some use out of the flashback. Yeah, this card's pretty awesome, actually.
Yep, card's really good. Liesa, Forgotten Archangel, 2 double white and a black, legendary creature angel, flying lifelink 4/5. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. It's a sweet card. It kind of gives you what was it Scarab God that did that kind of stuff where um was it that God cycle when they died or whatever they
Yeah.
get to come back at
Mm-hmm.
the end step. Yeah,
Yes.
so it gives all your creatures that not
Yep.
counting the Elias in itself. The card's cool. That's all I gotta say about it. I think it's a
Yeah,
cool
it
card.
feels like a pretty good card. This could definitely be a playable card too.
Mm-hmm.
Standard for sure. It also blocks Goldspan very well, which is a huge upside for it.
Mm-hmm. This I'll agree. Galvanic Iteration. Blue and red. Instant. When you cast your next instant sorcery spell, a certain copy of that spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. Flashback. 1 blue red. Cool card. Takes a setup if you want to make be doing anything super powerful with it. It's probably gonna be a little bit better in the other formats, but it's
Yeah.
a sweet card. Sweet card. Thoughts?
Let's see. Power. Yeah, it's a very interesting build around. That's for sure. Yeah, this could be like it's probably not. It's a little too expensive, but like this is a very interesting like storm kind of card. And if there were a chance for a storm deck to be playable in standard, this is the kind of thing they need. Just a massive, like at first it's making them all one less, but then it,
Bro,
if you
you're
can.
looking at the wrong card. We were on Galvanic Iteration.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
jumped ahead.
yeah. That's
But while you're talking about it,
I have literal nothing to say about iteration. I thought we.
okay,
moved
well,
on. Sorry.
hey, cat's out the bag. Vadrik, Asso Archmage, 1 blue and a red, 1/2 legendary creature, human wizard. If it's neither night nor day, it becomes day as in this battlefield. Insert sorcery spells you cast cost X less, where X is Vadrik's power. Whenever a day becomes a night or night becomes day, put a +1 counter on Vadrik. Obviously, Stevens expressed his thoughts on the card.
Yep.
So with that being said,
so is it coming into play as a 2/3 then effectively or no?
No, it comes in as a. Oh, actually,
Right?
no. It comes in as a 1/2 because day is not becoming night. It's just becoming day.
Okay.
Because unless
yeah.
So I think if it were already day or night, if you played against a deck that made it day or night, then it would become a 2/3 immediately. Is my guess.
So if it came into play, so no, because it only comes into play and makes it day if it's not day or night. Right?
Oh, right. Okay. Yep. If it's neither day nor day, but
Yep.
if it's one of those, then it doesn't do anything when it enters. Effectively.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Wild. All right. Interesting. I still think it's pretty solid, regardless.
Yep. Dewey, I'll go ahead and let you take over the last thing. I'm gonna be on mute for your second, guys. So go ahead and cover these last few.
Okay. So we have Ghoul Crawler's Harvest. 1 green, 1 black. Sorcery, create X/2/2 black zombies with decay, where X is half the number of creatures in your graveyard, rounded up. And then you also have Flashback, 3 colorless, green, black, and do it again. I like that card. I mean, this is going to be like something you can play around quite a bit, right? You can fill up your graveyard and do this.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to take a lot of setup, but
Mhm.
it seems like a potentially good card. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have those things we're gonna need to set it up in standard. Time will tell.
Mhm.
We haven't really looked at the commons or uncommons in this set, which would probably be the things that'll set this card up.
Right.
But in like in historic, we have Stitcher's Supplier, which would be a pretty good way to fuel this card.
Mhm.
Things like that, things of that nature. Pretty sure there's a mulch effect in either this format or one of the last formats that's legal and standard. Mulch effects will be really good with this card.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it's definitely a potentially pretty insane card, honestly.
Yeah.
Because yeah, if if you get like 5 creatures in your graveyard by turn 3, making 5/2/2s that can deal an insane amount of
It's
damage.
rounded up and right, cut in half, rounded up.
Yep. Okay.
So you get 3, but still 3.
3. Okay. That makes it a lot less good. I forgot it was half rounded up.
Yep.
This is a very interesting card. It might be good. I'm gonna say it's probably not great, but it might end up surprising me and being
Yeah.
really good. I think also so with Decayed, you sack these creatures at end of combat.
Yes.
You can still like sacrifice those creatures to a sack outlet and get.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that
So
I think
you
that'll be really critical.
yeah, you're gonna have you have the combat. You get to swing, deal damage. After damage, that's when these things are all gonna trigger, and at that point, you can sack them.
Okay, yeah. So if we can do some kind of busted like Nantuko Husk Blood Artist kind of stuff, I'll be a lot more into this kind of card. So it's really just gonna come down to can this card get broken?
Yeah, in limited, this is gonna be an all-star.
Oh, it's gonna be sweet and limited for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet card, definitely.
All right, so
really good with like a champion of the parish type of
yep. Old sticky fingers or old stick fingers is the next one. X green black. Star horror legendary creature. When you cast the spell, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards. Put all creature cards revealed this way into the graveyard, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Power and toughness is equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard.
Well, there's a pretty good enabler.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of mana, though.
It is a lot, and the fact that it only throws the creature cards in the graveyard.
It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
I don't think this card's actually very good, but again, I could be wrong.
And I'm just thinking like the decks, and you're like,
there's tools for this deck. Will it actually be good? I don't know. It's going to depend on what the commons and uncommons look like, which we're not reviewing on this episode. So
right. Next up, we have Angel Fire Ignition. 1 white, 1 red, 1 colorless. Sorcery. Put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains Vigilance, Life Link, Trample, Indestructible, Haste until the end of turn, and you can flash it back for 1 extra colorless, so 4 mana. Seems pretty good. I mean, it seems pretty pushed with all the different keywords it's getting. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that card's really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
If nothing else on the card from you guys, then
not really. I think it's good.
Yeah.
It could potentially be playable in some sort of aggressive shell for sure.
Mm-hmm. Rem Carolus, Stalwart Slayer, 1 colorless, 1 red, 1 white, 2/3 human knight legendary creature, has flying haste, and then if a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, prevent that damage. If a spell would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. Pretty hype about this card, not for standard, but actually for like modern Boros Burn in the sideboard for mirrors.
That's pretty interesting, actually.
Because they have to pretty much deal with it, right? And they have to send damage towards this, and then you're pumping up your spells. So maybe Modern's too strong for it, but then like in other Boros shells and aggressive decks,
maybe.
Yeah, I think this could definitely be a player.
Yeah, Pioneer seems pretty cool.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
If you could ever protect this card, obviously, then it gets pretty nuts for being able to stop all spell damage. So
yeah, truth.
Yeah.
If nothing else there, then we have Croaking Counterpart. 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless. Sorcery. Create a token of a card that's not a frog, and now it is a 1/1 green frog. So, like that, and then 3 mana, green and blue to flash it back.
Yeah, just like a little copy thing. There's your thing if you want to copy like things that were day or night.
Yeah.
So we found it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about the counterpart.
Yeah, nothing exceptional there. Good, good effects for ETBs and whatnot. So.
Mm-hmm.
Slogger the Overslime, 1 green, 1 colorless, and 1 blue. Legendary Ooze, 3/3 trample. Whenever a land is put into the graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogger over Slime. Remove 3 counters from it, return it to its hand, and whenever it leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target lands from your graveyard to your hand.
Cool card.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know what shell it's going into, but it definitely seems, that it want to be put in something, so.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Overslime is just a sweet card. I definitely don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know. I'd like to see this card somewhere. I just like these kind of cards.
That green-red card earlier where you're blowing up your own lands.
Yeah.
Can we play it in there? Play some kind of Tamir Shell, blow up your own lands, ramp yourself, keep doing that kind of thing, and then returning the lands from your graveyard to your hand. But then you want to put things into play. Then we're playing red and 7 to drop them into the doing that whole shenanigans. I don't know. Maybe that's good enough. I don't know.
Yeah. That's probably the closest we'll have for it, right?
Yeah.
Wrap up these last few cards. So we have a reprint. It's on Pithing Needle, 1 generic, and this battlefield. Choose a card name. Activate abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Just a good, nice little sideboard card. Be able to shut down those kind of abilities. Source of Spyglass is playable. Pithing Needle is gonna be playable.
100%.
Celestus, 3 generic legendary artifact. If it's neither day or night, it becomes day as there's a battlefield. Tap at a mana of any color. 3 and tap. If it's night, it becomes day. Otherwise, it becomes night. Activated only as a sorcery, so a good way to flip your guys without actually flipping your guys. When day becomes night or night becomes day, you gain 1 life. You may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Cool little mana rock right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you activate this card,
Sure.
and flip it from night to day or day to night, and then don't play a spell, would you then flip your werewolf cards twice? Would you flip it immediately to the Celestis, right? And then
because that checks at the end of turn.
Yeah. So then you
Is it the end of turn? I thought it checked to the beginning of the upkeep.
It checks at the beginning of upkeep, but doesn't this transform them immediately?
Yeah.
Or no?
It becomes night immediately, so then it would transform if it
flip them immediately,
Mhm.
right?
But then it won't. It should, unless the other clause has been fulfilled. We have a resident judge, and that's definitely a question we should talk to him about.
Yeah, because that's actually really, really sick.
Yeah.
You can double flip your things.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
very
we'll
powerful.
definitely have to check on that to get verification.
Yep.
Yeah, the way I'm reading it and understanding it is you could.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I understand too, but we'll definitely get verification. Last couple things we'll cover is Hostile. It's a colorless land that has an activated ability of 1 tap, sack a creature, put a soul counter on Hostile. Then if there are 3 or more soul counters on, remove those counters and transform it, then untap it. Activate only as a sorcery. It's a 3/7. Whenever it attacks, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X, where X is the number of creature cards exiled with the creeping in. Pay 4, creeping in phases out, so it's a good way to protect it as well.
Yeah.
Cool little card. And then
the sack outlet.
Yeah. Which is super cool. No, it's not a sack outlet. You just or is the other side of sack outlet?
The other side is.
Yeah, the
yeah,
land's
that's
a
right.
sack outlet, and
I
that
was
alone
looking
might be
at
worthwhile with all the decayed stuff that's floating around. So
yeah, I was looking at the flip side. My bad.
Mhm.
And then the last ones are the land cycle we have in this one. They have entered the battlefield tapped unless you control two or more other lands.
Mhm.
So pretty
So
good.
they'll
land.
finish out the slow land cycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, essentially. So we finally finished off those cycles. We've just finished out the show lands or whatever they were called recently. So it's nice that we were able to finish these ones off. But overall, guys, what would you rate the set?
Well, it seems very powerful and very good. There are a lot of very good cards in this set. I think this set is really going to change Standard a ton. Obviously, there's a rotation too, but this is a really good set. There are a lot of very, very good cards. Whatever people were playing in traditional or whatever, with Standard 2022 or whatever, that format is going to change a lot. I guarantee you that format is going to change a lot. There are just a ton of very strong cards. Looked like there were some really cool build arounds that could end up being good. Um, I was really impressed with a lot of the green cards in this set, which I guess that fits the theme for Magic the past like 3 years.
Right.
But the green cards seem nuts in multiple ways. Green red seems like it'll be sweet. I really like the look of the Arlen. Green white looks like it has a lot of potential. Um, there was a lot of cool stuff going on. That blue instant seems nuts, potentially busted. The draw spell that we looked at early that Larry said he thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I also think it's insanely good. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here. I'm sure there's even probably some busted stuff that we missed. Time will tell. But overall, it looks good. It's going to be really fun to build some decks with this stuff, and it was good to look at it. So
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm excited to go and brew some decks up in standard. It's gonna be a good time.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I agree that it's gonna change the landscape of standard. I'm very happy with the theme of this set too. Like they stayed on point with it really well, and that was awesome. I also like it so much more than AFR because you know me, I hate the die roll stuff that they introduce, but this feels like a Magic set to me.
Yeah, 100%. This definitely feels like an actual Magic constructed set, and
Hmm.
not like an EDH kind of style set.
Yep.
Yep.
Um, but that was the not spoiler, but preview season for our new set right before rotation. Innistrad Midnight Hunt. We thank everyone for listening. Um, we gotta go because Dewey's a little hungry right now. Um, he's been begging to eat some chips.
Oh yeah.
Um,
One chip in particular.
one chip in particular for those. Go check out our YouTube because we have the one chip challenge loaded on there. It's gonna be awesome. But until next time, it's been Larry, Steven, and maybe we'll see Dewey next week. I don't know. It depends on how his recovery will be. But but until next time, we will catch you guys later.
Catch you next time.
Have a great one.